Chapter 2702. It could be said that Qin Yu was worried. Qin Yu's concern had caused him to panic. Otherwise, he would not have exposed the fact that Duanling Tian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for less than 5 years. After all, it would only be detrimental to Duanling Tian if that matter was exposed. There was no benefit at all. Upon hearing Qin Yu's words, King Qin and the third prince nodded despite their confusion. Then they turned to look at the people standing in the air. Apart from the group of people in the VIP seats who were unharmed, there were only a few people from the 16 counties who had come from King Qin's mansion. Everyone. The third prince stepped out of the air and stood in front of the group of people in the VIP seats. He said apologetically, King Qin's mansion didn't expect so many accidents to happen during the martial competition of the 16 counties. I'm sorry. You're exaggerating, third prince. When they saw the second-in-command of King Qin's mansion apologizing to them, the people from the sects and clans under King Qin's mansion's jurisdiction immediately waved their hands and said, King Qin's mansion did not intend for this to happen. We know this very well, so there's no need for you to apologize, third prince. That's right. Third prince, today's accident happened because of the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. It's normal for King Qin's mansion to be powerless when the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect came. After all, the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect is a powerful sect that far surpasses the celestial kingdoms. Third prince, do you know the cultivation base of the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? Third prince. Is the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect a celestial duke? The group of people who came out from the VIP seats did not blame King Qin's mansion. Instead, they were interested in the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. They were curious to know the powerhouse's cultivation base. That senior is a core elder of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. She's a celestial duke. The third prince sighed helplessly when he saw the eager gazes of the people in front of him. A celestial duke. As soon as the third marquis finished speaking, the entire place fell into a dead silence. Although many of the people present on the scene guessed the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect was a celestial duke, they could only speculate before they received any confirmation. Now that the third marquis of the Duke of Qin's mansion had spoken, their hearts were filled with shock. After a short while, the group of people reacted and gasped one after another, only stopping after a long while. I didn't expect the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect to be a celestial duke. In our King Qin manor, it has been 100 years since an immortal monarch expert has appeared in public, right? I didn't expect that there would be such a pleasant surprise during our visit to the martial competition of the 16 counties. This trip was worth it. When we return to the sect, we'll be able to boast about the fact that we've seen a high celestial duke make a move with our own eyes. At that time, there will definitely be many people who will envy us and regret not coming. The people from the various sects and clans under King Qin's mansion's jurisdiction were whispering among themselves. Every single one of them was excited. It was obvious that they had seen a high celestial duke make a move with their own eyes. Upon seeing this, the third marquis was stunned. Cough cough. The third marquis coughed a few times to attract the attention of the people in front of him. Then he said, Everyone, there are still some matters that we need to attend to in King Qin's mansion. If you want to stay in King Qin's mansion and rest for a few days, I'll ask someone to make the necessary arrangements. If you want to leave, I'll ask someone to escort you out of King Qin's mansion now. The third marquis said. Third marquis, I'm in a hurry to return to the sect. There's no need for you to ask someone to escort me out. A loud laughter rang in the air as a figure disappeared from his spot. He left King Qin's mansion at an extremely fast speed. Third marquis, I'm in a hurry to return as well. Farewell. Farewell, third marquis. After a few moments, the people in front of the third marquis left. The people from the various sects and clans who were invited by King Qin's mansion were excited to see and witness a high celestial duke with their own eyes. They could not wait to return to their respective clans and sects to brag about it. In just a blink of an eye, only the people from King Qin's mansion and the 16 counties were left in the vast wasteland. I didn't want this to happen. King Qin said in a deep voice as he looked at the 15 county governors and the 2 inner court elders of 9 Spectres County. All the counties have suffered great losses this time. In addition to the rewards I promised for the top 10 and the rewards for the counties behind them, I'll give each of the 16 counties a low-grade celestial pill, the great overarching pill, Duanling Tian said as he looked at Duanling Tian. King Qin said in a clear voice. After Qin Wang said this, The eyes of the people from the various counties, who were originally dispirited, lit up, and their breathing quickened in an instant. The rest of the people from the 16 counties were directly under King Qin's mansion. Therefore, King Qin only needed to show them some mercy and authority to send them away. After sending the people from the 16 counties to stay in the guest rooms of King Qin's mansion, King Qin and the third Marquis brought Qin Yu to the central Great Hall of King Qin's mansion. The central Great Hall of King Qin's mansion was very spacious, and the decorations and furnishings inside were dazzling and magnificent. Qin Yu, who was here for the first time, could not help but be stunned for a moment before he regained his senses. When had he ever seen such a magnificent and majestic hall? Now that there are only 3 of us here, you don't have to worry about anything, the third Marquis said to Qin Yu. Although King Qin did not say anything, he nodded encouragingly at Qin Yu after hearing the third Marquis' words. Qin Yu nodded. Following that, he told them everything he knew about the Duanling Tian and everything he knew about the Duanling Tian after he came into contact with the Duanling Tian. He did not hide anything. At this moment, he knew that if he were to hide anything, it would only make the 2 people in front of him doubt his words. After listening to Qin Yu, King Qin and the third Marquis looked at each other. They could see the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. Had it not been for Qin Yu saying it himself, they would find it hard to believe that an ascender who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven, an ascender who was less than 100 years old, in merely 5 years, had actually done so many shocking things. Of course, those things did not sound like much at first. However, if they were to add another sentence, those things were done by someone who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for less than 5 years and was not even 100 years old. It was enough to shock anyone. If that's the case, this Duanling Tian must have obtained a shocking inheritance when he was in the mundane realm. If that's the case, it's not surprising that he has the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman inscribed by a celestial king. The third Marquis sighed. This Duanling Tian has a bright future. It's your fortune to know him, King Qin said as he looked at Qin Yu. At this moment, King Qin and the third Marquis still felt that Qin Yu's words were true. Although King Qin and the third Marquis still felt that Qin Yu's words were unbelievable, nevertheless they still believed Qin Yu's words. Because some of the things that Qin Yu said, as long as they went to investigate a bit, they would be able to find out the truth. They were simply not worried that Qin Yu would lie. Furthermore, Qin Yu also took the initiative to suggest that they go investigate to verify the truth of what he said. I'm worried. Is he being chased by the Celestial Duke from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? He might not have a second Void Escaping Talisman in his hands, Qin Yu said with a wry smile. Although Duanling Tian had escaped under the nose of the Celestial Duke from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect, he could not help but worry about Duanling Tian's safety. Don't worry. The third Marquis patted Qin Yu's shoulder and said with a smile, the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman is an immortal talisman inscribed by a celestial king. Moreover, the success rate of inscribing it is less than 1%. This immortal talisman is not to be trifled with. Once the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman is used, it can send the user 1,000,000 miles away. Moreover, when the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman is used, it will leave traces in other directions to mislead others. The third Marquis continued to say, therefore, you don't have to worry about Duanling Tian being in danger. Then I'm relieved. Qin Yu nodded. Eldest uncle, third uncle? Suddenly Qin Yu's eyes flashed as though he had thought of something. He looked at King Qin and the third Marquis and asked, what's the purpose of King Qin's mansion holding the martial competition of the 16 counties? We can't just let the young powerhouses from the 16 counties compete to determine the ranking and send them back, right? Of course not. The third Marquis shook his head and said with a smile, do you think King Qin's mansion has nothing to do with the generous rewards we've prepared for the martial competition of the 16 counties? What's the reason? Qin Yu asked curiously. In a barren mountain 1,000,000 miles away from King Qin's mansion. Where's this place? A purple figure in a slightly sorry state rose into the air from the barren mountain, looking left and right. The purple figure was a young man. He was dressed in purple, but his purple clothes were tattered. It was as if he had just gone through a tough battle. The young man was handsome and had an extraordinary temperament. He was none other than Duanling Tian, who had used the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman in King Qin's mansion and escaped from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's Celestial Dukes. I've lost my life-saving technique just like that. I can't risk my life like this again before I obtain another Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Chapter 2703. About a year ago, before Duan Lingtian left the Nine Spectres County, he went to Bloody Spectre City, one of the 9 cities under the Nine Spectres County. Bloody Spectre City was the first place he went to after he ascended to the spirit overarching heaven. Before he left the Nine Spectres County, he went to Bloody Spectre City to meet Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. From there, he learned that an old woman had gone to the city governor's estate to ask Lu Fenggu about his whereabouts. When he left Bloody Spectre City and the Nine Spectres County, he did not plan to participate in the martial competition of the 16 counties. However, by chance he managed to buy a celestial talisman, the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman, for only 10 prominent celestial stones at a roadside stall in a small town under the Horsetooth County of King Qin's mansion. Fortunately, the people who passed by the roadside stall did not know what was good for them. Otherwise they would not have let him off so easily. Ever since he had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven, Duan Lingtian had studied the memory celestial talisman in both Bloody Spectre City and the Nine Spectres County. That was how he learned about the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Since he had read about the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman in a memory celestial talisman, he was able to identify the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman by looking at the patterns on the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman at the roadside stall in the small town. One needs to be at least a celestial king to inscribe the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Moreover, even a celestial king only has a 1% success rate and requires rare and precious materials to inscribe the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Once the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman is used, it can send the user up to a distance of 1 million miles away. The Shadow Void Escaping Talisman allows the user to escape from a celestial king and below. It was precisely because of the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman that Duan Lingtian decided to go to King Qin's mansion to join the martial competition of the 16 counties. Moreover, he did not go to the martial competition of the 16 counties with his real identity. First, he joined the Flying Dragon sect, and then he became a consecrator of the Flying Dragon sect. After that, he and the other members of the Flying Dragon sect were invited to the martial competition of the 16 counties as distinguished guests of King Qin's mansion. Firstly, he was worried that the old woman who wanted to kill him was waiting for him. Secondly, he had not decided whether to participate in the martial arts competition of the 16 counties. Once he did, his identity would be exposed. After his identity was exposed, if that old woman was waiting for him, then he would have to use the Void Escaping Talisman. Let alone an intermediate-rank celestial kingdom like the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, even high-rank celestial kingdoms might not be able to find a Shadow Escaping Talisman. For this reason, Duan Lingtian knew how precious the Shadow Escaping Talisman was. If it was not necessary, he did not intend to use the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Because of this, when he watched the martial competition of the 16 counties as a great elder of the Flying Dragon sect, he did not want to take the risk even though he was hesitant to participate in it. It was not until Jianghu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, bought him an hour of time that he decided to take the risk. At that time he knew, if the old woman was not there, he would not have to use the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman to win the martial competition of the 16 counties. If the old woman was there, he would not have to use the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman to escape. He might not even have enough time to win the martial competition of the 16 counties. Unless the old woman was no match for King Qin from King Qin's mansion and King Qin had interfered to restrain her. I've suffered a loss this time. However, I fulfilled my promise to County Governor Tian and Elder Zheng Qiu. At this moment, Duan Lingtian knew it was useless even if he regretted his decision. There was no cure for regret in this world. Since things had progressed to this stage, there was no point in feeling conflicted. Therefore he might as well relax and accept all of this. It's a pity that County Governor Tian did not manage to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill, until his death. When Duan Lingtian recalled how Jianghu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, had died at the hands of the old woman, he could not help but sigh inwardly. However, his heart was as calm as still water. He did not feel sad or angry about it. He even regarded the old woman as his mortal enemy. There was no friendship between him and Jianghu. They were just using each other. He believed that if Jianghu could obtain more mediocre celestial pills by killing him, Jianghu would not hesitate to make a move on him. Therefore, Duan Lingtian did not feel anything about Jianghu's death. If he had to say what he felt, it would be pity for Jianghu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, who was so close to obtaining the great overarching pills. However, since I know Murong Bing's background, it's not too bad. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. In his opinion, His biggest gain this time was not winning first place in the martial competition of the 16 counties. After all, even if he won first place, he would only be fulfilling his promise to Tian Jiyu and Zheng Qiu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County. To him, the biggest gain was learning about Murong Bing's background. So, you're a disciple of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. I believe we'll meet again very soon. The beautiful figure from a few years ago flashed in Duan Lingtian's mind. His eyes became misty again. To be honest, he did not have any feelings for Murong Bing. However, he and Murong Bing had slept together after all, and it was Murong Bing's first time. As a man, he had to take responsibility for it. Murong Bing could only be his woman. He would not allow any other man to lay a finger on Murong Bing. After learning about Murong Bing's background, Duan Lingtian knew even if he did not know about it this time, he would eventually learn about it as he walked on a bigger stage in the future. Therefore, he felt it was not a loss to use the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman to learn about Murong Bing's background. If he did not learn about Murong Bing's background through other means, he would feel it was worth it even if he used the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. In his opinion, this was not the case. The value of a Shadow Void Escaping Talisman could not be compared to Murong Bing, who he had already regarded as his woman. Where is this place? Why do I feel like I haven't reached the end even after traveling for so long? Duan Lingtian was flying above the barren mountains at an extremely fast speed. However, even after a few days and nights, he still could not see the end of the barren mountains. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian took a step forward. Something flashed in front of his eyes. The next moment, what appeared in front of him was a vast expanse of white snow. He appeared in a world of ice and snow. What entered his eyes were numerous snowy peaks, as well as the seemingly endless ice fields and glaciers. It was exceptionally beautiful. Illusion? At this moment, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized that he had fallen into an illusion. Moreover, it was not an ordinary illusion. If it had been an ordinary environment, it would have been impossible for him to not notice it. Moreover, he would not have been able to wander around the barren mountains in the illusion for so long. Since I know this is an illusion, I should observe carefully and see how I can break this illusion. Illusions were man-made. Therefore, to break the illusion, one had to find the core of the illusion. The core of the illusion was like the formation eye of the formation. Once it was broken, the formation would disappear after the formation eye was broken. The illusion would also disappear completely when the core was broken. This illusion is not simple. Another few days and nights passed, and the scene before Duan Lingtian's eyes changed again. The world of ice and snow disappeared. Now Duan Lingtian appeared on a vast and boundless grassland. All he could see was lush greenery. He could not see the end of it at all. In such a place, it was more difficult than climbing the sky to find the core of the illusion. I can only wait for the next scene. Duan Lingtian knew in his heart that it was impossible for such a sophisticated illusion to only have 3 scenes. Even if there were only 3 scenes after the grassland scene, he would definitely return to the barren mountains or glaciers from before. The truth was just as Duan Lingtian thought. After Duan Lingtian walked casually for a few days and nights, another new scene appeared. This time it was a lush forest. There were many illusory beasts in the forest that would disappear with a touch. Duan Lingtian entered the forest and searched. Whether it was flowers, grass, trees, birds, or beasts, he did not miss a single thing. He intended to find the core of the illusion and make it disappear. Only then would he be able to leave this place. However, after a few days and nights, Duan Lingtian still could not find the core of the illusory realm when the scene changed again. Why am I so unlucky? It's my first time using the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman, and I've come to such a lousy place. Moreover, I've entered an illusion. Moreover, it's obvious this illusion is not an ordinary one. Duan Lingtian felt helpless. Although he had managed to escape from the eyes of the powerhouse from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect with the help of the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman, he had accidentally entered the mysterious illusory realm. As time passed, the scenes continued to change, but he still could not find the core of the illusion. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally realized something. With his current strength, he still could not find the core of the illusion. Seems like I won't be able to leave this place anytime soon. Duan Lingtian sighed. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had resigned himself to his fate and no longer struggled. This was because he knew that with his current cultivation base, it was impossible for him to find the core of the illusory realm and leave it. Chapter 2704. The heaven and earth spirit energy here is not bad. Although it's not as good as the stone room in the latent dragon abyss in the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, It's still better than most places. I'll cultivate here and read some books. I'll see if I can leave the illusory realm after I break through. When Duan Tian thought of this, he no longer cared about where he was in the illusory realm. He immediately sat cross-legged in the air and closed his eyes to cultivate. An immortal stone appeared in his hand. At the same time he swallowed a medicinal pill. The secret of crystal clearance. The heaven and earth spirit energy in Duan Tian's body circulated rapidly through his 99 heavenly veins before it finally transformed into celestial origin energy and became part of his body. At the same time, his cultivation base was also increasing with every passing moment. With my current cultivation base, it won't take long for me to break through and become an indigo sun golden celestial. After he had consumed the primitive celestial pill, the gilded gold pill, to become a green sun golden celestial before he left Nine Spectres County, he had also made a breakthrough to become a blue sun golden celestial. Of course, the reason why he was able to break through so quickly was not only because of his hard work and cultivation, but also because of the gilded gold pill. Not only did the gilded golden pill help him break through and become a green sun golden celestial, but it also helped him improve his cultivation base, bringing him closer to becoming a blue sun golden celestial. However, this was an unfamiliar place after all. Due to this reason, Duan Tian was still cautious even though he was immersed in his cultivation. He would wake up immediately if there was any movement in his surroundings. The scenery in the illusory realm changed every few days as Duan Tian entered the illusory realm. Half a month later, the scenery stopped at a ruin that was illuminated by the moonlight. In the ruins, the wreckage of houses could be seen everywhere. Behind the wreckage of these houses there were tombstones. Some tombstones were straight while others were crooked. However, they all had one thing in common. None of the tombstones had any inscriptions on them. After a few days, the ruins illuminated by the moonlight did not change to another scene. In fact, the scenery did not change for the next month. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a gust of wind blew through the illusory realm, stirring up dust. Reading a book? As the breeze blew past, a snow-white figure appeared like a ghost. It appeared in front of the purple figure who was sitting cross-legged in the sky above the ruins. It opened a pair of eyes that were like autumn water and carefully sized it up. The figure sitting cross-legged above the illusory realm was none other than Duan Tian, who was immersed in his cultivation. Duan Tian was Duan Tian, who was in the illusory realm. However, he did not seem to be aware of the ghostly figure that had appeared in front of him. It was as if he had not noticed the other party's appearance from the beginning to the end. That was the truth. If Duan Tian discovered the other party, he would definitely wake up from his cultivation and be vigilant against the other party as though he was facing a great enemy. Time passed quietly. Duan Tian continued to cultivate. The ghost-like white figure that appeared in front of Duan Tian remained motionless like a white statue as he sized up Duan Tian. After an unknown period of time, Duan Tian discovered that he was only one step away from becoming an indigo sun golden immortal. However, it was this step that he found difficult to take. I've reached a bottleneck. While sighing, Duan Tian gradually regained consciousness. He stretched his arms and waist, then slowly opened his eyes. Whoosh! The moment Duan Tian opened his eyes, Duan Tian's expression changed completely. This was because he saw a white figure standing in front of him. Moreover, this white figure gave him an extremely unreal feeling. He was like a wandering ghost in the wilderness. Oh, who are you? Duan Tian narrowed his eyes as he took a deep breath and studied the white figure in front of him. At this moment, Duan Tian finally saw the white figure clearly through the bright moonlight above the ruins. Duan Tian's eyes widened when he saw the white figure. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes as though he had just seen a goddess who had descended to the mortal world. The white figure standing in front of Duan Tian was a graceful figure. The bright moonlight shone on her body and her face, allowing Duan Tian to see her clearly. She had a graceful figure and a peerless appearance. Duan Tian had never seen her in his life. Before today, it was difficult for Duan Tian to imagine that such a peerless beauty could actually appear in this world. The woman was dressed in a thin white robe. Her beautiful cheeks looked as though they were sculpted by the most outstanding craftsmen. At the very least, Duan Tian could not take his eyes off her face the moment his eyes landed on her face. Duan Tian had seen many women in the past, and many of them were extremely beautiful. Moreover, each of them had a different temperament and gave off a different feeling. However, in the past, Duan Tian had never seen a woman like the white-clad woman in front of him. Although the woman in white in front of him had a peerless appearance, other than a faint allure, there was also a purity that contradicted the allure. She gave off a feeling that she had not experienced much in the world. It was as though she was a young girl who had just come out of her boudoir. Too perfect. I can't believe there is such a perfect woman in this world. Although Duan Lingtian's heart was as calm as still water and did not plan to have any entanglements with other women, when he looked at the white-clad woman in front of him, his heart that was as calm as an old monk's could not help but stir a few times. It took a while before it calmed down due to the interference of his strong will. This was an instinctive impulse that originated from a man's instinct. It was not Duan Lingtian's intention. She goes out. I don't know how many men will be mesmerized by her and go crazy for her. Duan Lingtian could imagine. Once this white-clothed woman left this place, she would definitely set off a storm of blood. As long as it was a normal man, it would be hard for him to resist her charm. As for those men who were slightly unable to control themselves, they would definitely want to take her for themselves. Stunner, a peerless stunner. The words "a peerless stunner" gradually appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Who are you? Under Duan Lingtian's gaze, the woman in white's beautiful eyes moved slightly. Then she slowly spoke. As soon as her voice rang in the air, Duan Lingtian's body involuntarily went limp. She was beautiful and her voice was beautiful as well. Duan Lingtian. After a few moments, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down before he said his name. What about you? Duan Lingtian asked. Me. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's question, the woman in white fell silent for a moment before a faint smile appeared on her face. Ever since I was born, my mother has called me Huan. You can call me Huan, like my mother. Huan. Duan Lingtian nodded before he asked, Where's your mother? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Huan lowered her head and sighed. Mother left a long time ago. She told me to stay here and wait for someone to take me out. She said that as long as the first person who came in after she left and didn't annoy me would be the one who could take me out. I've been waiting and waiting. I've been waiting and waiting. You've finally come. A hint of joy could be seen in her bright eyes as she looked at Duan Lingtian. I heard my mother say that the outside world is very fun, but she never brought me out. After that, she left. Because of what she said to me before she left, I didn't dare to leave this place alone. If I leave here alone, Mother will definitely be very angry when she finds out. Mother is very scary when she's angry. She seemed to have thought of something, and a hint of lingering fear appeared on her beautiful cheeks. According to your mother's words, no matter who it is, as long as they don't annoy you, they can bring you out of here? Duan Lingtian was stunned. Could it be that no one has been here before me? Duan Lingtian asked again. Yes. Huan nodded. Then she looked at the nameless tombstones in the ruins and said, Each tombstone represents a person who entered this place. Among them, there are women like me, and there are also men like you whom my mother told me about. 1 woman and 8 men. That woman looked at me with jealousy as mother told me. I hated that kind of gaze, so I killed her. Duan Lingtian could not help but smile bitterly when he heard Huaner's words. Only a few women who were confident in themselves would not be jealous of a woman as perfect as Huan, right? As for the 8 men, I hated the way they looked at me, so I killed them as soon as they saw me. Huan continued to say. From the beginning until the end, Huan talked about her killing spree as though she was talking about something insignificant. I didn't hate the way you looked at me. So, you're the person my mother said can take me out of here. I want to go out and see the outside world. Mother said that the outside world is very interesting and fun. Chapter 2705. The corner of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched when he heard Huana mention the 8 men. With Huaner's unparalleled beauty that was blessed by the Creator, it was only natural that men would be attracted to her. Among these men, most of them had the desire to possess her. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian had lived 2 lives and experienced many things. His heart was as calm as still water. That was why he did not lose his composure in front of Huan. It's a good thing I didn't lose my composure in front of Huan. Otherwise she would have killed me just like how she killed the 8 men. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he looked at the 9 nameless tombstones in the ruins again. If that's the case, I'll have to stay here forever. Perhaps there'll be a tombstone for me there as well, but it'll be a nameless tombstone. At this moment, Duan Lingtian could not help but rejoice inwardly. That's right. Suddenly Duan Lingtian seemed to have recalled something. His eyes narrowed as he muttered to himself, I almost forgot. Before I started cultivating, I was trapped in an illusory realm. Since I couldn't find the core of the illusory realm, I couldn't break out of the illusory realm. Due to this reason I couldn't leave. After that, I could only stay here and cultivate, hoping that I'll be able to break out of the illusory realm after I improve my cultivation base. Earlier, due to Huan Er's appearance, Duan Lingtian had completely forgotten what he had experienced before he started cultivating. Now that he had regained his senses, he finally remembered what he had experienced. Is this place an illusory realm as well? Is this woman called Huan Er also an illusory realm? With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian extended his hand, wanting to touch Huan Er to see if she was an illusory realm cultivator or not. It was only when his hand touched her soft skin that Duan Lingtian felt as though he had been electrocuted. At this moment he realized he had chosen the wrong place. I am sorry. Duan Lingtian felt extremely awkward as he retracted his hands at lightning speed. At the same time he couldn't help but feel anxious. This peerless beauty wouldn't kill him because of his indecent behavior, right? Although Duan Lingtian did not know the cultivation level of this beautiful woman, he had a feeling she was no weaker than him. Based on the fact that she was able to appear in this place and trap him in an illusion, he could tell she was not an ordinary person. She just said, "She's been here all this time?" It seems that this illusion was left behind by her mother. Duan Lingtian guessed. Huan Er, who had been staring at Duan Lingtian the entire time, retracted his hand as if he had been electrocuted. At the same time, she reached out and gently pinched Duan Lingtian's breasts. Why are they like rocks? I can't feel anything. She frowned slightly as she retracted her hands from Duan Lingtian's chest. She rubbed her own breasts as she muttered to herself, "Yes, they're soft. Is this the difference between a man and a woman, as mother said? Men aren't fun at all." Like a playful child, she patted Duan Lingtian's muscular chest twice. "You're right." Duan Lingtian nodded. "You're right. Huan Er." Duan Lingtian gulped. He reached out and grabbed Huan Er's hands and moved them away from his chest. If it weren't for the pure and innocent look in her eyes, he would have thought this peerless beauty was deliberately seducing him to commit a crime. "Huan Er, did you just say you can leave this place?" Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and suppressed the heat in his lower abdomen before he changed the topic. "Yes." Huan Er nodded. Then she asked, "Duan Lingtian, are you going to bring me away from this place?" Huan Er's eyes lit up when she asked this question. She looked like a playful child who was trapped at home and finally had the chance to go out and play. "I don't think I can leave this place. How am I supposed to bring you away?" Duan Lingtian smiled wryly. "Why can't you leave this place?" Huan Er asked curiously. Upon hearing Huan Er's question, Duan Lingtian instinctively extended his divine consciousness. He discovered the ruins beneath his feet were real and not just an illusion. What's going on? Duan Lingtian had a stunned expression on his face as he muttered, "Isn't this supposed to be an illusion?" "You're talking about an illusion. When I appeared before you, I removed it," Huan Er said as she looked at Duan Lingtian. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Huan Er extended her hand and waved it in front of Duan Lingtian's eyes. Huan Er held a white pearl in her hand. The pearl was not big so she could hold it in her hand. However, the white light that flowed within it was like a bottomless abyss. As soon as Duan Lingtian laid eyes on it, he felt as though he was about to be devoured by it. "You removed it?" Duan Lingtian turned pale with fright. One had to know that he couldn't do anything to that illusory realm before. But now, she was telling him that she had withdrawn from the battle? Duan Lingtian was rendered speechless. "Yes." Huan Er nodded innocently. "The illusion you're talking about was created by the illusory pearl my mother gave me. I had to remove the illusion before I could appear before you and let you see me." "I see." Realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. Then he asked, "Huan Er, what's your cultivation base?" "Cultivation base?" Huan Er frowned slightly when she heard Duan Lingtian's question. However, even then she still looked beautiful. "I don't know what my cultivation base is. However, I have a feeling that half of the 9 people I killed are stronger than you. Half of them are stronger than me." Duan Lingtian remained silent when he heard Huan Er's words. After all, his strength was not on par with his cultivation base. Although he was only a blue sun golden celestial, his true strength was comparable to a great overarching golden celestial. If he unleashed his full strength and used the Devata artifact, the 7 orifices exquisite sword, his strength would be comparable to an earth rank or heaven rank great overarching golden celestial. Duan Lingtian was unaware that Huan Er's strength was comparable to his. When she said he was stronger than her, she was referring to the time when he had used the Devata artifact, the 7 orifices exquisite sword, to break through the illusory realm with all his might. Even then he still could not break through the illusory realm. At that time, His strength was comparable to an Earth-rank great overarching golden celestial or a heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial. Duanling Tian, where are we going now? A hint of curiosity could be seen in her beautiful eyes as she looked at Duanling Tian. Her eyes were filled with anticipation as she looked at Duanling Tian. I don't know where we are. Let's take one step at a time. Duanling Tian regained his senses and looked around for a while before he decided to head in a random direction. Just like that, after Duanling Tian managed to break free from the illusory realm that gave him a headache, he had a tail by his side. Huan, apart from your mother, do you have any other relatives? Duanling Tian asked Huan as they walked aimlessly. It was a man's dream to have a peerless beauty by his side. However, Duanling Tian felt like she was a hot potato. He wondered if he could get rid of her. Naturally, it was impossible for Duanling Tian to leave her behind. Although they had not spent much time together, Duanling Tian could tell that Huan was a woman who had never been born. Huan was like a girl who had just stepped out of a boudoir. Although she had a peerless beauty, she had never shown it to anyone. To be more precise, she had never shown herself to anyone other than Duanling Tian and her mother. Once, 9 people accidentally entered the illusion and saw her, but because they looked at her with eyes that made her feel disgusted, she killed them all. Based on what she said, it seems like her mother told her to wait for someone. As for her mother telling her to follow someone she doesn't hate, it's probably to protect her so she doesn't leave with a stranger. Duanling Tian felt like he had accidentally abducted Huan. In truth, Huaner's mother had told her to wait for someone else. However, Duanling Tian was different from ordinary men. Therefore, Huan had mistaken him for the person she was waiting for. No. Huan shook her head when she heard Duanling Tian's question. Duanling Tian nodded and sighed inwardly. He knew he would not be able to get rid of this peerless beauty for the time being. Chim? After traveling for a while, Duanling Tian finally found 5 living people. Moreover, there were 5 living people in total. There were 3 young men and 2 old men. Huan, why don't you wear a veil? Duanling Tian asked as he looked at Huan who was like a femme fatale next to him. Why? Huan asked in confusion when she heard Duanling Tian's words. What a beautiful woman. A surprised voice rang in Duanling Tian's ears. He knew his warning was too late. Among the 5 people walking toward them, the 2 old men looked fine. The 3 young men in front were all wearing brocade clothes, and from the attitude they showed, it could be faintly seen that they were the kind of rich playboys. When one of the young men saw Huan, he exclaimed in surprise. He looked at Huan with a lecherous look in his eyes. It was as though he wanted nothing more than to push her to the ground and ravage her. Chapter 2706. I want this woman. The young man in embroidered robes, who was the leader of the 3 young men, looked at Huan with bright eyes. In the depths of his eyes, there was a desire for possession that was not concealed in the slightest. Since Brotherly wants her, it's only natural that she's yours. Brotherly, it seems like you're quite lucky with women. The other 2 young men in embroidered robes chimed in. Although their eyes were filled with reluctance, they did not dare to show it. Although they were from the same clan, their status was far inferior to the young man in embroidered robes. They were only able to come out because of the young man in embroidered robes. It was not that they could not come out on their own, but their lives would be in danger if they came out on their own, unlike the young man in embroidered robes who had 2 great overarching golden celestials to protect him. Even the 2 old men's eyes lit up when they saw Huan. They had lived for thousands of years, but this was the first time they had seen such a perfect woman. That peerless face was as if the Creator had ordered the craftsman to use the most perfect features to carve it out. It even made their hearts, which had been silent for many years, stir a little. After all, they did not lose their composure even in front of the most beautiful woman in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Young Master Li. At this moment, one of the old men looked at the young man in embroidered robes whom the other 2 young men addressed as Brotherly and said bluntly, "Such a perfect woman. If young Master Li marries her, she'll bring disaster to the clan in the future. Let's not talk about the others. If the 6th prince finds out young Master Li didn't give such a beauty to him, he'll be the first to be unhappy." The old man continued to say. 6th prince. Upon hearing the old man's words, the young man in embroidered robes, who was addressed as young Master Li by the old man and Brotherly by the other 2 young men, shuddered as cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Earlier, his heart was filled with desire. All he could think of was how to obtain the woman before him. After all, she was too perfect. She was so perfect that it took his breath away. Now, after the old man's reminder, he realized that such a perfect woman was not someone he could touch. I, Nangong Li, am fortunate enough to encounter such a perfect woman, but I can't take her for myself. How sad. Nangong laughed at himself. The sixth prince was the sixth son of the emperor of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. He was also the emperor's follower. Of course, in the eyes of the sixth prince, Nangong Li was just an insignificant follower. It was even possible that the sixth prince might not even remember his name. Young Master Li, as long as you give this beauty to the sixth prince, I think the sixth prince will definitely remember you, young Master Li. He might even consider you as his confidant. Although I've lost the beauty, I've gained the favor of the sixth prince. It's not a bad deal. Another old man said. You're right. The sixth prince has never mistreated those who have rendered meritorious service. If I were to present him with such a peerless beauty, the sixth prince would definitely be very happy and put me in an important position. Nangong Li's eyes lit up when he heard this. With the old man's reminder, Nangong Li finally regained his senses and realized what was more important. Two elders, kill that man first, then capture that beauty. Remember, you must not harm a single hair on the beauty. Otherwise, when the sixth prince blames you, not only me, even you will not be able to bear the consequences. When Nangong Li looked at Duanling Tian, it was as though he was looking at a dead man. However, when his eyes landed on Huaner, he could not help but lust. It was as though he could not wait to pounce on Huaner and make her his. When the other two brocade-clad young men heard that Nangong Li was going to offer the beauty to the sixth prince, the unwillingness in their eyes disappeared completely. However, when they looked at Huaner again, their eyes were filled with lust. Huaner was too perfect. She was so perfect that there was not a single flaw. It was impossible for a normal man not to be attracted to her. Yes, young Master Li. Upon hearing Nangong Li's words, the two old men behind him responded immediately. Then they looked at Duanling Tian coldly as though they were looking at a dead man. Whoosh, whoosh. When the two old men made their move, Duanling Tian's expression darkened. It was not because the two old men were great overarching golden celestials. Based on their speed, although they were great overarching golden celestials, they were only yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials. Their strength was at most comparable to Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County who had been killed by Duanling Tian. In the past, Duanling Tian was able to kill Zhou Tong. Let alone now. The reason Duanling Tian's face was so grave was due to the fact that the young man in embroidered clothes, Nangong Li, had said he wanted to kill him as soon as he opened his mouth. He did not seem to have any enmity with him. In fact, it seemed like this was the first time they had met. When the two old men were halfway to Duanling Tian's celestial origin energy began to stir as he prepared to make his move. You're not allowed to kill Duanling Tian. A melodious voice rang in the air. Although the voice was cold, it was like the sound of nature. When the voice entered Duanling Tian's ears, he felt as though he was listening to the most beautiful music in the world. The three young men, including Nangong Li, were mesmerized by the voice. She's beautiful, but her voice is even more beautiful. What a pity. We can only look at such a beauty, but we can't touch her. The three of them sighed inwardly. The voice belonged to Huaner, who was standing next to Duanling Tian. When the two old men heard Huaner's melodious voice, they paused for a moment. However, they quickly regained their senses and continued to charge toward Duanling Tian at lightning speed. Their eyes were filled with killing intent as they stared at Duanling Tian. Whoosh. Before Duanling Tian and the two old men could react, Huaner, who was standing next to Duanling Tian, suddenly disappeared. At the same time, Huaner appeared out of thin air in front of the two old men. I told you, you're not allowed to kill Duanling Tian, Huaner said. As soon as she spoke, a terrifying chill surged out of her body. Duanling Tian and the three brocade-clad young men standing in the distance felt as though winter had arrived. They could not help but feel a bone-chilling coldness in the air. It should be noted that with their cultivation bases, they would not feel cold even if they were in the depths of a snow-covered glacier. However, at this moment, Duanling Tian and the three young men in embroidered robes were so cold that they could not help but shiver. Even their lips had turned blue from the cold. After a short moment, Duanling Tian noticed the coldness that gushed towards him had been restrained, and he heaved a sigh of relief. He discovered that even if he used his celestial origin energy to block the cold aura, it would not be able to do much. The cold aura was extremely terrifying. When Duanling Tian lifted his head instinctively to look at the two old men who were still some distance away from him, he discovered the two old men had already turned into two ice sculptures amidst the flying snow. Moreover, there were cracks on the ice sculptures as well. As the cracks on the two ice sculptures spread, the bodies of the two old men also shattered into thousands of pieces along with the ice sculptures. They couldn't be more dead. Hiss. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp. At this moment, the way he looked at Huan had changed completely. She was dressed in a thin white robe that fluttered in the wind, making her look like an ice goddess. She was high and mighty, and no one could profane her beauty. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian turned to look at one of the three young men in embroidered robes. It was none other than Nangong Li. Nangong Li hastily crushed a celestial talisman in a panic. In the next moment, whoosh, Nangong Li seemed to have disappeared into thin air before Duan Lingtian's eyes. A drifting light and shadow talisman. When Nangong Li crushed the celestial talisman, Duan Lingtian saw the inscriptions on the celestial talisman and recognized it as a floating light and shadow talisman. The drifting light and shadow talisman was a celestial talisman inscribed by a celestial duke. The success rate was less than 1%. However, since celestial dukes were capable of inscribing this celestial talisman, it was much more common than the shadow void escaping talisman that Duan Lingtian used. Even intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms had this kind of celestial talisman. Naturally, only sects and clans with strong foundations in intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms could afford this kind of celestial talisman. Although they could afford this kind of celestial talisman, they could not afford to buy a lot of it. Generally, only important members of sects and clans would be able to afford this kind of celestial talisman. No. Don't kill me. Spare my life, fairy. Spare my life. The two young men in embroidered robes were horrified when they saw Huaner looking at them. They hurriedly begged for mercy. However, as soon as Huaner approached them, their bodies stiffened, and they followed in the footsteps of the two old men. They turned into ice sculptures and died when their ice sculptures shattered. Duan Lingtian, I can't catch up to him, Huaner said. After killing the four young men, she returned to Duan Lingtian's side as though nothing had happened. He used the drifting light and shadow talisman. His speed is comparable to a celestial duke. It's only natural that you can't catch up to him. Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly. Chapter 2707. Huan it's better for you to wear a veil. Duan Lingtian looked at Huan and sighed. If this femme fatale didn't cover up her extremely perfect and peerless appearance, who knew how many wild bees and butterflies would pounce on her in the future? Why? Huan seemed slightly displeased. If you don't wear a veil, there will be more people like that who come after us in the future. Duan Lingtian said helplessly. He did not want to be constantly harassed. Moreover, he was being hunted by the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. If the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect found out he had such a beautiful woman by his side, it would be easier for them to find him. After all, wherever Huana went, there would be a group of perverts coming after her. At that time, if the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's powerhouses heard about her, they would be able to track him down easily. I'll just kill as many as they come after me, Huan said indifferently. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Currently Huan sounded like a demoness. She made it sound as though killing was easier than eating. Huan, if you don't wear a veil, don't follow me in the future. Duan Lingtian said with a stern expression on his face. However, when he said this, he actually did not have much confidence in himself. Who knew if Huana would kill him in a fit of anger? Although Huan had made a move earlier, he did not know her exact strength. However, there was one thing he was certain of. Huaner's cultivation base was at least at the peak of the heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial stage. After all, she had killed the two yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials before they could even react. With his current strength, even if he used all his techniques, he would only be able to fight an ordinary heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial. An ordinary heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial was a heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial who cultivated low-level cultivation methods and mastered low-level celestial methods and divine abilities. Duan Lingtian could barely deal with such a heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial if he used all his techniques. However, if she was a heaven realm great overarching golden celestial, would she be an ordinary heaven realm great overarching golden celestial? Although he did not know much about Huaner's background, based on the illusory realm created by the illusory realm orb, Huaner's mother was definitely not an ordinary person. On the other hand, his mother was not a simple person. How could Huaner's cultivation technique, immortal techniques and divine abilities be simple? Therefore, Duan Lingtian could almost conclude that there was no doubt that he was no match for her. Even if he used the Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, he wouldn't be able to hold back. Moreover, when she killed the two great overarching golden celestials earlier, she didn't use any celestial artifacts. Duan Lingtian gasped as he thought to himself, "It seems like I've underestimated her. She's most likely a peak great overarching golden celestial. He might even be an overarching heavenly supreme celestial." Overarching heavenly supreme celestial. In King Qin's mansion, only King Qin, the master of King Qin's mansion, was an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Duan Lingtian waited anxiously for Huaner's reply. "I see." Then realization dawned on her as she said, "Duan Lingtian, it must be because you don't want others to see my face. That's why you want me to wear a veil, right?" Duan Lingtian's eyes widened as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was rendered speechless by Huaner's words. "Is Huaner right?" Huaner asked as she looked at Duan Lingtian. "If you want to think of it that way, it's fine as long as you wear a veil," Duan Lingtian said helplessly. "Since you don't want others to see my face, Duan Lingtian, I'll wear a veil so no one can see my face. From now on, I'll only show my face to you, okay? Apart from Mother, I'll only show it to you, Duan Lingtian." As she spoke, she raised her hand. Celestial origin energy that was brimming with coldness surged out of her body and formed a white veil over her face that matched her thin white robes. Duan Lingtian blushed when he heard Huaner's flirtatious words. However, when he saw Huaner's bright eyes, he knew she did not have any ulterior motives. Based on Huaner's expression, it was clear she did not know what love was. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he saw Huaner's reaction. "Good girl, Huaner." Duan Lingtian smiled faintly as he patted Huaner's head. Her long hair was smooth to the touch. When he retracted his hand, he could smell a refreshing fragrance wafting from it. It was Huaner's unique fragrance. "However, I'll have to find a real veil for you to wear. This veil formed from celestial origin energy isn't very reliable," Duan Lingtian said. Anyone with a higher cultivation base than Huaner would be able to see through the veil formed from celestial origin energy. "All right." Huaner nodded obediently. "I'll listen to you, Duan Lingtian." At this moment Huaner was like an innocent and naive girl. She was like a completely different person compared to the ice goddess who had killed 4 people in a row. Duan Lingtian was the most affected by Huaner's behavior. "Who is she?" Duan Lingtian was puzzled as he looked at Huaner. "Huaner, do you know who your mother is? Do you know where she went?" Duan Lingtian asked. "Mother isn't human. She's a celestial beast, a phantom fox. She didn't tell me where she went, so I don't know," Huaner said with a hint of disappointment in her voice. "Celestial beast?" Duan Lingtian inhaled sharply when he heard this. He looked at Huaner in disbelief and asked, "Does this mean you're not human as well?" "Yes." Huaner nodded. "Indeed, I'm not completely human. Mother said I'm a rare 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox in the Phantom Fox clan. 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox is the offspring of a Phantom Fox and a human. Generally speaking, the offspring of a Phantom Fox and a human is either a Phantom Fox or a human. The chances of 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox appearing is less than 1 in 10,000. 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox is born with the appearance of a human baby. It can only transform into 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox through continuous evolution." Duan Lingtian nodded. "In that case I can be considered half a human." Duan Lingtian nodded. "Yes." Huaner nodded. "Huaner, do you want to look for your mother?" Duan Lingtian asked. "Yes." Huaner nodded again. Then she looked at Duan Lingtian and said, "Duan Lingtian, can you accompany me to look for my mother? I haven't seen my mother for a long time. I miss her so much. I miss my mother so much." Tears streamed down Huaner's cheeks as she spoke. She looked so pitiful that it made Duan Lingtian's heart ache. "All right, I'll accompany you to look for your mother." Duan Lingtian's heart ached when he saw Huaner's pitiful appearance. "I miss my mother so much." Huaner sobbed as she sobbed. Without any warning, Huaner threw herself into Duan Lingtian's arms and kissed Duan Lingtian softly. Duan Lingtian's lower abdomen reacted immediately. It took him a while to suppress the reaction. As a man, Duan Lingtian could not hold himself back when a peerless beauty came knocking on his door. "Huaner, don't cry." Huaner. After suppressing the desire in his heart, Duan Lingtian patted Huaner's back gently and comforted her as though he was coaxing a child. "She's asleep?" Huaner's sobbing gradually faded away. Duan Lingtian did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Huaner had fallen asleep in his arms. However, when Duan Lingtian saw Huaner sleeping soundly, he did not dare to make any rash movements. Just now, those people mentioned the sixth prince. They also mentioned something about the most beautiful woman in the capital. That young man dressed in embroidered robes is Nangong Li. Duanling Tian began to organize his thoughts and ponder based on the clues left behind by those people earlier. In the end, he managed to come up with a few guesses. I used the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman to travel 100,000 miles away from King Qin's mansion. I'm certain I'm no longer in King Qin's mansion's territory. However, it's not enough for me to leave the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. The capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom is in the vicinity of the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. There's indeed a Nangong clan in the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Although it's only a second-rate clan in the capital, its foundation is not inferior to King Qin's mansion and the other mansions in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. I've long heard that the sixth prince, one of the most outstanding sons of the Emperor of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, is not only talented in civil and martial arts, but he's also a womanizer. It seems like I'm in the center of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom's territory. Duanling Tian had a rough idea of his current location. I wonder if the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect only sent that old woman to kill me? If there are a few people like that old woman, it wouldn't take them too long to search the area that's 100,000 miles away from King Qin's mansion. Duanling Tian's heart skipped a beat when he thought about this. He made up his mind and decided to leave the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom after she wakes up. Chapter 2708. Swoosh. At this moment, a figure appeared 100,000 miles away from Duanling Tian and Huan. It was none other than Nangong Li, the son of the clan leader of the Nangong clan in the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom and the great young master of Nangong clan, who had escaped with a floating light shadow talisman earlier. After reappearing, Nangong Li's face was still filled with shock and fear. That woman who is so perfect and flawless, who on earth is she? How's she so strong? The two elders were yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials. She didn't even do anything, but the cold aura she emitted froze the two elders into ice sculptures and killed them. Even if the cold aura was formed by her celestial origin energy, she didn't use any celestial weapons. Nangong Li could not help but gasp when he thought about this. He muttered to himself, generally speaking, only a peak great overarching golden celestial would be able to kill two yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials without using any celestial weapons. That perfect and flawless woman is actually such a powerful existence? At this moment, Nangong Li felt as though a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. The desire that had risen in his heart was completely extinguished. Where's this place? After regaining his senses, Nangong Li looked around and discovered he was in the middle of a lofty mountain range. I have to find a place to hide first. Then I'll send a message back to my father and ask him to send someone to bring me back to the capital. At this moment, Nangong Li did not dare to return to the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom alone. With his cultivation base, there was a high chance he would be killed by the powerful celestials on his way to the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Therefore he found a secluded cave and hid there. Then he took out a communication celestial talisman and channeled his celestial origin energy into it before it transformed into a streak of light that shot up into the sky toward the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. In the communication celestial talisman, apart from asking his father to send someone to bring him back, Nangong Li also gave a rough description of his surroundings so his father would not overlook this place. As for where he was right now, he didn't know either. However, as long as his father received his immortal message talisman, he believed that his father would be able to determine his location through the immortal message talisman. After all, the communication celestial talisman traveled in a straight line. As the son of the clan leader, Nangong Li's communication celestial talisman was inscribed by an overarching celestial supreme celestial. Known Nangong Li's communication celestial talisman. For this reason, the speed of Nangong Li's communication celestial talisman was comparable to an ordinary overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Unless an overarching heavenly supreme celestial intercepted the communication celestial talisman, the communication celestial talisman would be able to reach the capital and Nangong Li's communication celestial talisman. After Nangong Li used the communication celestial talisman to send a message to his father, he hid in a secluded cave and waited for his father to send someone to bring him back. Meanwhile, at this moment Huaner, who was lying in Duanling Tian's arms, finally calmed down. After a while she said, Duanling Tian, although your body is different from mine, it's still very comfortable. After calming down, she extended her left hand and gently tapped Duanling Tian's chest with a smile on her face. Duanling Tian fell into a daze for a moment before he regained his senses. Huan Er's smile was like 100 flowers blooming. It was so beautiful and enchanting that Duanling Tian fell into a daze. When she regained her senses, her body moved away from Duanling Tian and pressed against his body. Duanling Tian could not help but feel a burning sensation in his lower abdomen when he felt the softness on his chest. What a seductress! Duanling Tian gasped inwardly as he pushed Huan Er away. He was worried he would lose control if Huan Er continued to move. This was his first time being aroused by a woman to such an extent. Although he had deliberately distanced himself from other women, he was still a normal man. If he didn't feel anything when a woman with perfect looks, perfect figure and flawless body leaned on him, he would really suspect that there was something wrong with his body. Huan Er, let's look around and see if there's a town nearby. Let's figure out where we are first before we decide what to do next. Duanling Tian said as he pushed Huan Er away. I'll listen to Duanling Tian. Huan Er nodded when she heard Duanling Tian's words. Ever since she was born, other than her mother, she had only come into contact with 10 people. 9 of them had looked at her with disgust, and she had killed them as soon as she saw them. Duanling Tian was the only one who did not look at her with disgust when he saw her for the first time. Moreover, Duanling Tian had fulfilled the condition her mother had told her to leave the ruins. Due to this reason she had left with Duanling Tian. Huan Er had never been exposed to the world before. She was not aware of the dangers of the world. In many ways she was inferior to those maidens who were raised in a boudoir. At the very least those maidens knew the rules. However, there were no rules in Huan Er's world. From the moment she left the ruins with Duanling Tian, other than her mother, Duanling Tian was her everything. Of course, the current Huan Er did not know anything about friendship or love. She only knew that Duanling Tian was the person her mother said would be able to bring her out of the ruins. He was someone she didn't dislike, someone she cared about, so she wouldn't allow anyone to harm Duanling Tian. Anyone who wanted to hurt Duanling Tian deserved to die. For this reason, the 2 elders from the Nangong clan who wanted to kill Duanling Tian were instantly killed by Huan. At this moment Huan Er was like a blank sheet of paper. As for what would happen in the future, it would depend on her future experiences and Duanling Tian's guidance. Let's go then. Duanling Tian beckoned to Huan Er before he took the lead and stepped into the air. Huan Er followed him closely, leaning on him as though she did not want to be separated from him for even a moment. Duanling Tian could sense Huan Er's attachment to him. However, he did not mind it. After all, he knew Huan Er had not come into contact with enough people and things. After spending some time in the outside world, she would learn the difference between men and women. At that time she would no longer cling to him. A few days later, Duanling Tian finally saw a city. After entering the city, the first thing Duanling Tian did was to buy an exquisite white veil for Huan Er. Moreover, it was the type that did not allow light to pass through the veil. It could cover up Huan Er's flawless cheeks so that it would not arouse any man's imagination. Although Huan Er wore the veil, she still attracted the attention of all the men around her. Even some of the women could not help but steal a few more glances at her. Huan Er followed closely behind Duanling Tian. When there were other people around, she did not appear as innocent as she usually did. Instead, she appeared cold and distant, giving off an aura that made others feel as though they were 1,000 miles away. Huan Er was dressed in a thin white robe. Her temperament was cold, and she exuded a sense of holiness that made others feel inferior. That woman just now, although she was wearing a veil, but just based on her temperament and her pair of flawless autumn eyes, I can imagine that under that veil, there must be an incomparably beautiful face. I think so too. It's impossible for a woman like her to be ugly under the veil. Perhaps she's wearing a veil because she has a flaw in her face? After all, women are born with a desire for beauty. If she's beautiful, wouldn't it be a waste of her beauty to cover it up? I really want to see what kind of face she has under the veil. When Duanling Tian and Huan Er walked on the street, the passers-by fell silent. Everyone was looking at Huan Er curiously. When the duo walked past them, they could not help but discuss among themselves. As they spoke, they were captivated by Huan Er's cold and holy aura. Looking at Huan Er's beautiful eyes, they guessed that under the veil, there was an 80% to 90% chance that Huan Er had a flawless face. Even if her eyes were not as flawless, she would not be too far off. Please wait a moment. As soon as Duanling Tian and Huan Er walked past a spacious street, a voice rang from behind them. Huan Er ignored the voice. It was only when she saw Duanling Tian turning around that Huan Er stopped and turned around. Duanling Tian looked at the person who spoke to them. It was an elegant young man who was dressed like a scholar. He held a folding fan in his hand. He had a handsome appearance and a gentle smile on his face. However, there was a hint of wickedness between his brows. It made him look a little contradictory. Behind the scholarly young man was an old man. He looked like an ordinary old man, but Duanling Tian could tell he was not as simple as he looked. At the very least, he was not weaker than the two Nangong elders who died in Huan Er's hands not long ago. Both of you seem to be outsiders, right? The scholarly young man's smile deepened. There was a hint of wickedness in his smile as he asked Duanling Tian and Huan. However, his gaze was more focused on Huan Er's body. What's the matter? Duanling Tian asked as he looked at the scholarly young man. Sir. A hint of jealousy flashed in the scholarly young man's eyes when he saw Huan Er leaning against Duanling Tian. Then he shifted his gaze to Duanling Tian and said with a smile, I'd like to ask you to remove the veil from your face. I want this female companion of yours to remove the veil on her face. Of course this is not free. As long as your companion is willing to remove the veil from her face, I'm willing to pay both of you 10,000 prominent celestial stones. Chapter 2709. As long as she removes her veil, you'll give both of us 10,000 prominent celestial stones each? Duanling Tian's expression darkened when he heard the scholarly young man's words. His eyes narrowed into slits. Huan Er's beautiful face that was hidden under the veil turned cold immediately. When Duanling Tian gently patted her hand and transmitted his voice to her, Leave this to me, Huan. Huan Er nodded obediently. That's right. When the scholarly young man saw Huan Er nodding, he thought she had agreed. He smiled as though he did not notice Duanling Tian's slightly darkened expression. As for whether he really did not notice Huan Er's expression, only he knew. Isn't that Qi Yu, the second young master of the Qi clan? It's him. He took out 20,000 prominent celestial stones just to see a woman's face. No wonder people say the second young master of the Qi clan is a spendthrift. It seems like it's true. I wonder if the woman will remove her veil. The passers-by on both sides of the street recognized the scholarly young man. As they spoke, they revealed the scholarly young man's name and identity. The city they were in, Qiliu City, had two masters. The Qi clan and the Liu clan. The two clans were evenly matched in strength. They kept each other in check and controlled Qiliu City together. Although they had been fighting for thousands of years, neither of them could destroy the other. For this reason, the two clans had coexisted in Qiliu City for thousands of years. That's 20,000 prominent celestial stones. Anyone would be tempted by that amount, right? I think she'll remove her veil. I don't think so. Didn't you see her partner's expression is grave? I think so. Many passers-by noticed Duanling Tian's expression when they were talking. They could feel the atmosphere was a little strange. I'll take out 100,000 high-grade immortal stones. Duanling Tian's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Qi Yu. He said coldly, Take off all your clothes and walk around the streets of Qiliu City naked. If you do that, I'll give you the 100,000 prominent celestial stones. What do you think? As soon as Duanling Tian finished speaking, Duanling Tian's smile froze. The old man behind him immediately looked at Duanling Tian with a cold glint in his eyes. Whoosh. As for the passers-by on both sides, they were in an uproar. Oh my God! What did I hear? Is this person crazy? This is the second young master of the Qi family. He actually dares to humiliate the second young master of the Qi family? He's dead. He's dead meat. When the crowd looked at Duanling Tian again, it was as if they were looking at a dead man. You're free to make a move if you think you can bear the consequences. Duanling Tian said indifferently when he saw Qi Yu and the old man were about to go berserk. After he finished speaking, he looked at Huan Er with a faint smile on his face and said, Huan Er, let's go. After he finished speaking, he turned around and continued to walk away. Huan Er turned around and followed after him. Meanwhile, the scholarly young man and the old man behind him were stunned by Duanling Tian's meaningful gaze. Just as their expressions changed and they were about to make a move out of shame and anger, a voice suddenly rang out. Second young master of the Qi family, you can't even remove a veil from a woman's face. You've really embarrassed yourself this time. Accompanied by a frivolous voice, a young man dressed in luxurious clothes and holding two beads in his right hand walked over with a tall and sturdy man with a curly beard. He looked at Qi Yu, the second young master of the Qi family, mockingly. It's the first young master of the Liu clan. What's the occasion today? The second young master of the Qi family and the first young master of the Liu family, the two outstanding figures of the younger generation of the Qi family and the Lu family actually appeared together. I'm afraid these two rivals are going to fight again. Many people whispered among themselves when they saw the young man dressed in luxurious robes. Lu Wenbin. Qi Yu's expression darkened when he saw Lu Wenbin, the first young master of the Lu clan. He sneered and said, "You said I can't even remove a veil from a woman's face? Then why don't you do it? Why don't you, Lu Wenbin, stop blabbering in front of me?" Qi Yu, who was about to make a move on Duanling Tian, was interrupted by Lu Wenbin. It was precisely because of Lu Wenbin's interruption that his anger towards Duanling Tian subsided a little. At the same time he calmed down. The woman next to the purple-clad young man had a cold and holy air about her. She did not seem like an ordinary celestial. Moreover, the purple-clad young man whom Qi Yu had thought was bluffing had a strong aura. Both of them combined. Qi Yu suddenly felt that the purple-clad young man was not bluffing at all. The purple-clad young man might not have been bluffing. It was very likely that he didn't fear him or the Qi clan behind him. That was why he dared to do that. Therefore he planned to use reverse psychology to provoke Lu Wenbin and get Lu Wenbin to test the purple-clothed young man. Qi Yu? Lu Wenbin sneered when he heard Qi Yu's words. Then watch carefully. Not only can I remove that woman's veil, but I can also kill the man next to her as well. Lu Nan, go and kill that man, then bring the woman over. This young master wants to personally take off her veil and see her true appearance. If she looks all right, this young master doesn't mind bringing her back to the Lu family to play with for a few days. As soon as Lu Wenbin finished speaking, a voice rang in the air. The curly-bearded man Lu Nan, who was standing behind Lu Wenbin, was about to make a move. You're seeking death. An earth-shattering voice rang in the air. Lu Nan was so shocked that he did not even have the time to react, let alone make a move. Duanling Tian, who was about to leave with Huan, was horrified when he heard Lu Wenbin's words. After that, the celestial origin energy in his body surged out of his 99 heavenly veins like raging dragons. In just a blink of an eye, the celestial origin energy surged out of his body like a raging dragon. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As soon as his celestial origin energy surged out of Duanling Tian's body, it transformed into tens of thousands of sword rays. Moreover, as Duanling Tian cast the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, the sword rays began to grow rapidly before they merged into a sword formation. Then they seemed to have transformed into more than 10 clones before they merged into one. The sword formation's light grew even brighter and more dazzling. From afar it looked like a blazing sun. In the next moment, swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sword formation broke through the air, heading straight for LV Wenbin. In the blink of an eye, it was near LV Wenbin. It was as if it had turned into a rain of swords, whistling down on LV Wenbin. Young master. Lu Nan, who was standing behind Lu Wenbin, finally reacted. He wanted to make a move, but it was already too late. Lu Wenbin was completely enveloped by the rain of swords. When the rain of swords dissipated, there was only a pool of dazzling blood left where LV Wenbin had been standing. The blood that had splashed out was scattered all over the place, like a dazzling blood-colored rose. Lu Wenbin, the great young master of the Lu clan, the future clan leader of the Lu clan, he was dead. The entire place fell silent. Gasp. Qi Yu, the second young master of the Qi clan, was the first to regain his senses. He gasped when he regained his senses. An expression of lingering fear could be seen on his face. He was truly terrified. If Lu Wenbin had not appeared and mocked him earlier, he would have attacked the purple-clad young man. If he had attacked the purple-clad young man, the person who would be reduced to a pool of blood on the ground would not be Lu Wenbin, but him, Qi Yu. The old man standing behind Qi Yu regained his senses as well. When he looked at Duanling Tian again, his expression was solemn. A hint of dread could be seen on his face. This purple-clad young man is also a great overarching golden celestial. Based on the purple-clad young man's earlier attack, he was certain the purple-clad young man was also a great overarching golden celestial like him. However, he was not certain which stage the purple-clad young man was at. However, he was not certain he would be able to defeat the purple-clad young man. How dare you kill my young master? After Qi Yu and the old man behind him, Lu Nan also regained his senses. His curly beard twitched and a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and a spiked club appeared in his hand. The celestial origin energy on the mace shone brightly as he swung it at Duanling Tian. Boom, 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 boom. The spiked mace was a primitive celestial weapon. It seemed to have come alive in Lu Nan's hand. Although it looked heavy, it was extremely agile. In just a blink of an eye, it formed a net that enveloped Duan Tian. Humph? Duan Tian snorted coldly. With just a thought, he took a celestial sword out of his spatial ring and merged it with the sword formation before it shot out toward the net formed by the spiked mace in Lu Nan's hand. It broke through the barrier as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. In the end, Lu Nan was engulfed as well. Upon seeing this, Lu Nan naturally swung the spiked mace in his hand to defend himself. However, in the blink of an eye, the spiked club in his hand strangely slipped out of his hand. It was no longer under his control and had left him. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The rain of swords continued to howl for a while before it finally disappeared. After the rain of swords disappeared, Lu Nan disappeared as well. He was replaced by a pool of blood. Gasp, 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 gasp. The passers-by who had just regained their senses saw Lu Nan had died in Duan Tian's hands. They could not help but gasp. His strength is comparable to an Earth-rank great overarching golden celestial. The old man standing behind Qi Yu muttered to himself with a horrified expression on his face. Chapter 27:10. Lu Nan is a great overarching golden celestial from the Lu clan. However, he was easily defeated by the purple-clad young man. Lu Wenbin is the first young master of the Lu clan. He's the favorite son of the clan leader of the Lu clan. He's also the future clan leader of the Lu clan. However, this purple-clad young man killed him just like that. Who is he? Isn't he afraid of the Lu clan's revenge? The onlookers whispered among themselves as they looked at Duan Tian in shock. On one hand, they were shocked by Duan Tian's strength. On the other hand, they were shocked by Duan Tian's audacity to kill Lu Wenbin, the first young master of the Lu clan in Qiliu City. Fortunately, the second young master of the Qi clan did not make a move earlier. Otherwise, he and the Qi clan's elder behind him would be reduced to a puddle of blood. I think the second young master of the Qi clan and the people behind him were about to make a move earlier. However, the first young master of the Lu clan arrived at the critical moment and prevented them from making a move. This means the first young master of the Lu clan is the savior of the second young master of the Qi clan? That seems to be the case. When the onlookers recalled the earlier scene, they looked at Qi Yu, the second young master of the Qi clan, with mixed feelings on their faces. They lamented Qi Yu's luck. Sir, please forgive me for offending you earlier. After Qi Yu regained his senses, his expression gradually calmed down. He bowed and cupped his hands together as though nothing had happened. He apologized to Duan Tian. The old man behind him bowed as well. If Duan Tian had only killed Lu Wenbin, he would not have bowed to him. However, Duan Tian had killed Lu Nan, the Lu clan's elder, who was on par with him. This made him realize that Duan Tian was much stronger than him. For this reason, he did not dare to act recklessly in front of Duan Tian. You use me as a tool. Do you think I'll let it go with just an apology? Duan Tian asked indifferently as he looked at Qi Yu. His eyes that were originally wide open suddenly narrowed into slits. What else do you want? Qi Yu asked nervously with his head lowered. Although Qi Yu did not think there was no one in the Qi clan who could defeat Duan Tian, he could only admit defeat for now. The powerhouses from the clan. Powerhouses from the clan. Duan Tian clan. Duan Tian glanced at Qi Yu indifferently and said, "Let's talk as we walk." Yes. Qi Yu's, I'll grant you, since you're going to Duan Tian, Duan Tian, since you, I view Ling Tian, Duan man and I Ling Tian a man, I. Master of clan Ling Tian clan, master of the clan, master of his clan, he, master of the clan, master of clan, clan's leader. Qi Yu lowered his head as he thought about this. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. In the next moment, Duan Tian and Huan followed Qi Yu and the Qi clan's elder to the Qi clan's estate under the watchful eyes of the passers-by. The passers-by quickly made way for them. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Tian and the others had disappeared from the passers-by's sight. At this moment, the passers-by finally sighed in relief. They began to discuss among themselves. Why did that purple-clad young man follow the second young master of the Qi clan to the Qi clan's estate? Based on his words, it's obvious he's going to seek revenge from the second young master of the Qi clan. However, why did he ask the second young master of the Qi clan to bring him to the Qi clan's estate? Does he think he'll be able to ask for as much as he wants in the Qi clan's estate? Isn't he seeking death by going to the Qi clan's estate? Although he's strong, I don't think he's strong enough to challenge the Qi clan, right? The Qi clan is a powerful clan with 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials. The passers-by were confused as they discussed among themselves. Why would the purple-clad young man take the initiative to go to the Qi clan's estate? Was this not tantamount to sending a lamb to a tiger's den? Do you think it's possible that the purple-clothed young man and the woman beside him were all sent here by the Qi clan? At this moment, a passerby with a wise look in his eyes deduced and guessed, everything that happened just now was actually a trap set up for the Liu clan's eldest young master. The purpose was to kill the Liu clan's eldest young master. Earlier, they tried their best to create a hostile relationship with each other so that they could fool the Liu clan. Now, that man and woman might be going to the Qi clan to get their reward before they leave Qiliu City. As long as those two people leave, even if the Liu family suspects that the man and woman were sent by the Qi family, there's no evidence. The Liu family can't fall out with the Qi family because of a suspicion without any evidence. This passerby's words received the approval of the majority of the crowd. I knew it. Although the Qi clan's second young master is a well-known prodigal, he wouldn't spend 20,000 prominent celestial stones just to get a woman to remove her veil. That's possible. Although he's a prodigal, he's never done something so extravagant. Spending 20,000 prominent celestial stones just to get a woman to remove her veil is indeed ridiculous. As the group of passers-by chatted, they further believed that the previous person's guess was most likely correct. The man and woman were hired by the Qi clan. Fortunately, Qiyu, the Qi clan's second young master, was not present. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood from anger when he heard these people's words. This was the first time the Qi clan had been wronged. If the man and woman were hired by the Qi clan, would he have been so nervous when he brought them back to the Qi clan's estate? What do you want? Qiyu was the first to break the silence when they returned to the Qi clan's estate. He slowly turned around and asked Duanling Tian anxiously. I want a detailed map of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom and its neighboring celestial kingdoms. Qiyu's expression remained calm when he heard Duanling Tian's words. After all, this was just a small matter to him. In fact, he could easily find such a map in the Qi clan. Also, the Qi clan has to pay me 1 million prominent celestial stones. Duanling Tian continued to say. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Qiyu's expression changed drastically. 1 million prominent celestial stones. Although the Qi clan could afford it, it was not a small sum. Even the expression of the Qi clan's elder changed slightly. Although he had guessed the purple-clad young man would extort celestial stones, he did not expect the purple-clad young man to extort so many prominent celestial stones. That was 1 million prominent celestial stones. Was the purple-clad young man so confident he could afford it? I can't decide. I'll have to ask my father after we return to the Qi clan. Qiyu took a deep breath and said. Duanling Tian nodded indifferently. It's alright, I'll follow you back to the Qi clan first. However, I only have an hour. If I don't get 1 million prominent celestial stones within an hour, don't blame me for being rude to you. When Duanling Tian finished speaking, his eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Qiyu. Qiyu's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly looked away, no longer daring to meet Duanling Tian's eyes. Second young master, this purple-clad young man wants 1 million prominent celestial stones as soon as he opens his mouth. What a big appetite. One of the Qi clan's elders said through voice transmission. Indeed, he has a big appetite. However, he has to be alive to eat it. Qiyu sneered through voice transmission. I don't think he's a reckless person. Moreover, the Qi clan's background isn't a secret in Qiliu City. It's very likely he knows about the Qi clan's background. The Qi clan's elder said through voice transmission. You're saying he dares to follow me back to the Qi clan and blackmail us despite knowing about the Qi clan's background because he's not afraid of the Qi clan? Qiyu's tone turned solemn. Something like that, the elder said. The Qi family's elder said, either he's hiding his strength, or his origin is not simple. It doesn't matter who he is, we'll ask my father to test him when we return to the Qi clan. If that doesn't work, we'll ask the ancestor and my father to test him. Qiyu said. There were 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials in the Qi clan. They were the 2 strongest heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials in the clan. One of them was the current clan leader of the Qi clan, Qiyu's father. The other person was the old man in the Qi clan whom Qiyu referred to as the ancestor. Although they were both heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials, the old man in the Qi clan was stronger than the clan leader of the Qi clan. Soon after, Duanling Tian and Huan arrived at the Qi clan under Qiyu and the old man's lead. Duanling Tian, why are we following them? I don't like them and I don't want to be with them. Huan Sent a voice transmission to Duan Tian as soon as they entered the Qi clan's residence. We're following them to get celestial stones. I bought all the interesting things for you in the city with celestial stones. After all, celestial stones don't last long. That's why we're here to get them. Once they give us the immortal stones, we can go and buy even more rare and interesting things. Duan Tian spoke as though he was coaxing a child. Wow! Huaner's eyes lit up when she heard Duan Tian's words. Then she said, then, let's ask them to give us all the celestial stones they have. If they don't give us their celestial stones, I'll kill them. Huaner's eyes flashed with killing intent when she spoke. Qiyu and the old man could not hear their conversation since Duan Tian and Huan were communicating through voice transmission. Chapter 27:11. Duan Tian was dumbfounded when he heard Huaner's voice transmission. How could he not see that this girl had the potential to be a bandit? Naturally, he knew Huan only said this because she did not have the right values. After all, she was inexperienced and did not know what to do and what not to do in the outside world. Huan, that's not right. Even if we want to take other people's celestial stones, we have to have a good reason. For example, they offended us first. That's why we came to their house to take their celestial stones. Since Duan Tian knew Huan did not have the right values, he was trying to guide her to the right path. If she chose the wrong path, not only would she be destroyed, but many people would also be implicated. I understand. As long as they don't provoke me, I won't take their celestial stones. However, if they provoke me, I'll take their celestial stones. Huan nodded after listening to Duan Tian's persuasion. But, wasn't it too impulsive of me to kill those people from the Nangong clan? I didn't even ask them for their celestial stones. Huan was filled with regret when she recalled the 4 people from the Nangong clan whom she had killed earlier. Who said you didn't ask them for their celestial stones? After you killed them, they left their spatial rings behind. However, I kept them in my possession. Their celestial stones are in their spatial rings. Huan, don't tell me you don't know what a spatial ring is? When Duan Tian realized she did not even have a spatial ring and did not know what a spatial ring was, he began to patiently explain to her how to establish and remove the claim of ownership on a spatial ring. Then he passed the spatial ring to Huan. Huan, there are 100,000 prominent celestial stones in this spatial ring. Take them and spend them. Duan Tian said with a smile on his face. All right. After putting on the storage ring, Huan stared at it as if she was looking at a treasure. It was as if the storage ring on her finger was more important than Duan Tian. You two, please wait here for a moment. I'll go look for my father. After arranging Duan Tian's room in the Qi clan's main hall, Qiyu left. As for the Qi family elder behind him, he stayed behind to entertain Duan Tian and Duan Tian, instructing the Qi family servants to serve them tea. When Qiyu went to find his father, the current head of the Qi family. On the other side, the Liu family was also in a mess. Eldest young master is dead. Furthermore, he was killed by an outsider. That outsider is most likely someone from the Qi family? The entire Liu clan was in an uproar. Meanwhile, the clan leader of the Liu clan, who was also the father of the Liu clan's first young master, Liu Wenbin, who was killed by Duan Tian, immediately gathered the Liu clan's high-ranking officials for a meeting. At the same time, his father and the old ancestor of the Liu family were invited to the meeting. The Liu family had 2 heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials. One of them was the clan leader of the Liu family's father, the former clan leader of the Liu family. The other person was the person with the highest seniority in the Liu family. He was the old ancestor of the Liu family. What? Ben is dead. The clan leader of the Liu family's father, the former clan leader of the Liu family, was furious when he heard that his grandson had been killed. It was as though he could not wait to go to the Qi family and seek revenge from the purple-clad young man who had killed his grandson. Old ancestor, what should we do about this? The clan leader of the Liu family did not bother to discuss this matter with the other high-ranking members of the Liu family. He immediately looked at the old ancestor of the Liu family and asked for his opinion. As long as the old ancestor made the decision, nobody would object. Your father and I will go with you to the Qi family. If that person hasn't left the Qi family's estate, we'll kill him to avenge your son. If that person has left, we'll go to the Qi family to denounce them. However, I'm afraid we won't be able to settle this matter. You must be mentally prepared for this. The old ancestor of the Liu family said. I understand. The clan leader of the Liu family nodded bitterly. He knew very well that there was no evidence to prove that his son had been killed by the Qi family. Even if there was evidence to prove that his son had been killed by the Qi family, the Lu family would not go to war with the Qi family because of his son. If the two families were to go to war, both sides would suffer losses. At that time, there would be outsiders who would take advantage of the situation to interfere. This was not something the Lu family and the Qi family wanted to see. Naturally, if there was evidence to prove that his son was killed by someone hired by the Qi family, although the Lu family could not go to war with the Qi family, they could use this to threaten the Qi family and force them to hand over Qiyu, the second young master of the Qi family, who was the most outstanding among the younger generation in the Qi family. They would use Qiyu's life in exchange for his son's life. It's good that you understand. The old ancestor of the Lu family continued to say, in that case, let's go to the Qi family now. The later we go, the more likely it is that your son's murderer has left the Qi family. Yes, said the patriarch of the Lu clan. Immediately after, the patriarch of the Lu clan and the patriarch of the Lu clan left the Lu clan's residence and headed towards the Qi clan's residence in a menacing manner. Meanwhile, in the Qi family's estate, Duan Lingtian and Huan sat together in the main hall of the Qi family's estate. At this moment, apart from the Qi family's elder and Qiyu, there were two other people sitting in front of them. One of them was a middle-aged man who was dressed in brocade robes. His face was as fair as jade. The other person was an old man with white hair and brows who was dressed in gray robes. He had a youthful appearance. However, at this moment, Qiyu, the Qi family's elder, and the other two people were kneeling on the ground. Their bodies were trembling as they knelt on the ground with their heads lowered. A faint chill could be felt on the ground where they were kneeling. It was as though they had just been baptized by snow. An overarching heavenly supreme celestial. An overarching heavenly supreme celestial. The woman with the veil is an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Qiyu knelt on the ground. He was originally elegant, but now he was in a sorry state. Other than fear, there was only fear on his face. He had thought the clan leader of the Lu family was here. Even if his father, the clan leader of the Qi family, and the old ancestor of the Qi family could not kill the purple-clad young man due to fear of the purple-clad young man's strength and background, he should be able to save the 1 million prominent celestial stones. What he did not expect was that the clan leader of the Qi family was here. When his father, the clan leader of the Qi clan, and the old ancestor of the Qi clan arrived in the hall, their celestial origin energies surged out of their bodies as they extended their divine consciousness in an attempt to probe the purple-clad young man and the veiled woman standing next to him. The woman had only raised her hand, and a gust of cold wind blew past. Half of the bodies of his father, the clan leader of the Qi family, and the old ancestor of the Qi family were frozen to the ground. It was as though their bodies had become one with the main hall, and they could not move at all. The woman only stopped when the purple-clad young man spoke. His father, the clan leader of the Qi family, and the old ancestor of the Qi family regained their freedom. However, after regaining their freedom, the two of them collapsed on the ground because their lower bodies had been frozen for a short period of time, causing them to be unable to react quickly. When they regained their senses, they struggled to kneel in front of the woman and apologized profusely. I didn't know you were an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, my lady. Please forgive us. At that time, Qiyu and the Qi family's elder had also knelt on the ground in fear and apologized profusely. At this moment, Qiyu finally realized what was going on. As it turned out, the purple-clad young man was not the strongest among them, but the veiled woman. I didn't expect Huaner to really be an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Although Duan Lingtian had suspected Huaner was an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, he had assumed she was a peak great overarching golden celestial. It was only when Huaner had easily captured the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials that he realized Huaner's strength was not as great. Huaner was really an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. 1 million prominent celestial stones. Have you prepared them? Do you have the map as well? Duan Lingtian asked as he glanced at Qiyu indifferently. I'll prepare them right away. Qiyu hurriedly replied. At the same time he glanced at his father, the clan leader of the Qi family. His father hastily took out a spatial ring that contained enough celestial stones and handed it to Duan Lingtian. My lord, there are 300,000 prominent celestial stones and 70,000 supreme celestial stones in here, the clan leader of the Qi family said. Duan Lingtian nodded. 70,000 supreme celestial stones? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. After establishing ownership over the spatial ring, he glanced at its contents. Yes, there are indeed 70,000 supreme celestial stones. Duan Lingtian, what's a supreme celestial stone? Didn't you ask for 1,000,000 supreme celestial stones? Why did he only give you 370,000 supreme celestial stones? Although she was inexperienced, she still knew the basics of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Her mother had taught her this before. Upon hearing her words, the 4 members of the Qi family were dumbfounded. My lord. The clan leader of the Qi family stammered as he knelt in front of Kerr. His body trembled violently and he did not know what to say. He thought the overarching heavenly supreme celestial was trying to prank him. After all, a supreme celestial stone was equivalent to 10 prominent celestial stones. This was common knowledge in the Devata realms. Clan leader of the Qi family, there's no need to worry. She just doesn't know that a supreme celestial stone is equivalent to 10 prominent celestial stones. The clan leader of the Qi family sighed in relief when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. However, he still found it hard to believe that an overarching heavenly supreme celestial was unaware that a supreme celestial stone was equivalent to 10 prominent celestial stones. Because in his opinion that was common sense that couldn't be more basic. 1. Chapter 27:12. I see. Realization dawned on her after listening to Duan Lingtian's explanation. 1. Don't you use celestial stones to cultivate? Duan Lingtian asked with a wry smile on his face. In his opinion, since Huan was an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, she must have used celestial stones to cultivate. Otherwise, how could she have attained such a cultivation level in just a short 100 years? Previously, when Duan Lingtian probed Huan with his divine consciousness, he could sense the aura of her flesh and blood. Huan was no older than 100 years old, just like him. No need. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's question, Kerr shook her head innocently. Upon hearing her words, the 4 members of the Qi clan were speechless again. She did not use celestial stones? How on earth did this little grandaunt cultivate? How could she become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial without using celestial stones? Huan, won't your cultivation be slow if you don't use celestial stones? Duan Lingtian frowned and said, that shouldn't be the case. Your mother would have given you celestial stones to cultivate. Normally speaking, she should have given you immortal stones and medicinal pills to assist in your cultivation. After all, without celestial stones and pills, your cultivation speed would be slow. Although Duan Lingtian did not know what kind of person Huaner's mother was, he was certain that she was not an ordinary person. However, since Huaner's mother had left behind an illusory realm to trap Duan Lingtian, it meant she was not an ordinary person. Even if she was a celestial beast, there was no doubt she was not an ordinary celestial beast. It was impossible for a celestial beast like her to not give her daughter celestial stones and pills to cultivate. Mother gave me pills to cultivate and the medicinal efficacy of the pills is still in my body. Moreover, she also gave me this. However, this isn't a celestial stone. Huaner's expression was still as innocent as ever when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. As she spoke, she pulled down the necklace on her neck, revealing the pendant of the necklace to everyone, including Duan Lingtian. The pendant of the necklace was a small, completely enclosed, circular box. She pressed a button on the side of the box, causing it to open. A bright light flashed, dazzling Duan Lingtian and the others. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As soon as she opened the small, round box, a bright light flashed from within, and a vast amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy that was close to liquefying gushed out of the small box. In the blink of an eye, it was like a vast ocean that swept through the entire Qi clan's great hall. It was as though the main hall of the Qi clan had turned into a holy land for cultivation in an instant. Isn't the spiritual energy of heaven and earth a little too exaggerated? Duan Lingtian was dumbfounded when he sensed the Qi family's hall filled with heaven and earth spiritual energy. The heaven and earth spiritual energy in the Qi clan's main hall was 1,000 times denser than the spiritual energy in the hidden dragon abyss in the 9 Spectres county governor's mansion. He tried to absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth to cultivate, but found that he had reached the limit of what he could absorb. In other words, with his current cultivation base, it would be a waste for him to cultivate in such a place. Although the heaven and earth spiritual energy was more abundant, there was a limit to how much heaven and earth spiritual energy one could absorb when one's cultivation base was at a certain level. Just like now, Duan Lingtian had encountered such a situation. Even an overarching heavenly supreme celestial would be able to cultivate in such an environment, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. It did not matter if an overarching heavenly supreme celestial was in a cultivation environment like this or a cultivation environment that was much better than the one they were in right now. After all, there was a limit to how much heaven and earth spiritual energy one could absorb. An overarching heavenly supreme celestial would be able to cultivate in such an environment. With such an environment, there was no need for an overarching heavenly supreme celestial to fight for a better cultivation environment. This was because the effect of cultivating in such an environment was the same for an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Of course, if a celestial high immortal were to cultivate in such an environment, he would not be able to reach his limit. He could still strive for a better cultivation environment. That's right. There's also the cultivation method. I almost forgot. In the Devata realms, the higher the grade of one's cultivation method, the faster one can absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy. With this thought in mind, Duanling Tian felt as though he was a frog at the bottom of a well. He also knew that the assumption in his heart was completely based on the foundation of cultivating the yellow grade cultivation method. Moreover, this energy is coming from the crystal in the small round box on her necklace. It's filling the entire hall with the heaven and earth spiritual energy. If she were to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy from the crystal, Duanling Tian said. Duanling Tian did not dare to continue thinking about it. Even if Huan was an overarching heavenly supreme celestial and cultivated a heaven-grade cultivation method, she should still be able to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy from the crystal, right? Huan close it. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Huan closed the small round box on the necklace and severed the connection between the crystal and the outside world. As a result, the Qi clan's great hall was no longer filled with heaven and earth spiritual energy. Because of this, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the Qi family's main hall became thinner and thinner. Although she had closed the box, she could not help but sigh. However, Duanling Tian was able to clearly see what was inside. It was a crystal that was completely transparent. It was quite similar to the diamond in his previous life, but there were some subtle differences. Of course, the diamond itself had no spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Duanling Tian had already noticed this when he returned to earth. Therefore, the crystal was only somewhat similar to a diamond, but its nature was completely different. Could even be said that the difference was like heaven and earth. Immortal crystals. Those are immortal crystals. The Qi family ancestor who had been greedily absorbing the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy in the Qi family's main hall, raised his head with an intoxicated expression when the heaven and earth spirit energy in the Qi family's main hall became thin. When he looked at the necklace on her neck again, his eyes were filled with greed and greed. Humph. The Qi family ancestor only regained his senses when he heard Duanling Tian's cold snort. His expression changed drastically as he hastily withdrew his gaze from the necklace. The other three members of the Qi family also regained their senses. They prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to make a sound. At this moment they recalled something. The celestial crystal belonged to an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. You said that's a celestial crystal? As far as I know, even a supreme-grade celestial crystal wouldn't have such an effect, right? Duanling Tian asked as he looked at the Qi family ancestor indifferently. He knew about celestial crystals. He had read about celestial crystals in some memory celestial talismans. He knew that celestial crystals only appeared in supreme-grade celestial stone veins. Moreover, the chances of them appearing were much lower than supreme-grade celestial stones and prominent celestial stone veins. For this reason, one celestial crystal was worth 1,000 supreme-grade celestial stones. In fact, the heaven and earth spirit Qi contained in one immortal crystal was at most equivalent to the heaven and earth spirit Qi contained in 1 or 200 supreme-grade immortal stones. The celestial crystals mentioned here were only primitive celestial crystals. Above the supreme-grade celestial stone vein, there were low-grade celestial crystal veins that produced low-grade celestial crystals. At the same time, there was also a chance of middle-grade celestial crystals. Like immortal stones, immortal crystals were divided into low-grade immortal crystals, medium-grade immortal crystals, high-grade immortal crystals, and supreme-grade immortal crystals. However, the exchange rate of celestial crystals was completely different from that of celestial stones. The exchange rate between each grade of celestial stone was 1 to 10. One supreme-grade celestial stone was equivalent to 10 prominent celestial stones, 100 mediocre celestial stones, and 1,000 primitive celestial stones. The exchange rate between each grade of celestial crystal was 1 to 100. A supreme-grade celestial crystal was equivalent to 100 prominent celestial crystals, 10,000 mediocre celestial crystals, and 1,000,000 primitive celestial crystals. According to Duanling Tian's knowledge, the intermediate rank celestial kingdom, the cloudy rock celestial kingdom, did not have any primitive celestial crystal veins. In fact, even the high-rank celestial kingdoms did not have primitive celestial crystal veins. Although the high-rank celestial kingdoms did not have primitive celestial crystal veins, the number of supreme-grade celestial stone veins they had was not something an intermediate-rank celestial kingdom or a low-rank celestial kingdom could compare to. "You're very wise, my lord." The Qi clan's old ancestor nodded in response to Duan Lingtian's question. Then he said, "If I'm not mistaken, the celestial crystal on Lord Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial's necklace is a divine celestial crystal that only appears once every 10,000 years in a supreme-grade celestial crystal veins." Divine crystal. As soon as the Qi clan's old ancestor finished speaking, the breathing of the other three members of the Qi clan quickened. To them, the divine crystal veins were extremely rare. The divine crystal was an existence that only existed in legends. It was something that could only be looked at but was out of reach. "I, Qi Yunsheng, have no regrets now that I've seen and felt the power of the divine crystal." The clan leader of the Qi clan sighed emotionally. "With the Qi clan's status and influence, we'll have no regrets even if we die now that we've seen the divine crystal." The Qi clan's old ancestor chimed in. Divine crystal? A supreme-grade celestial crystal veins that only appear once every 10,000 years. Upon hearing the Qi clan's old ancestor's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes widened in shock. Based on what he knew, in any of the 81 Devata realms, there would not be more than 10 supreme celestial crystal veins in the Devata realms. In other words, on average, one divine crystal would only appear once every 1,000 years in a Devata realm. Who's Huaner's mother? The phantom fox must not be an ordinary celestial beast. What a joke. How could an ordinary celestial beast leave a divine crystal for its daughter? Duan Lingtian could still remember. Chapter 27:13. There were a total of 81 Devata realms in the colossal world. There were no more than 10 supreme-grade celestial crystal veins in each Devata realm. A supreme-grade celestial crystal vein would take 10,000 years to produce a divine crystal. In other words, on average it would take at least 1,000 years for a divine crystal to form in each Devata realm. Based on this, one could easily imagine how precious a divine crystal was. However, Huan actually had a divine crystal in her possession. Huan, she's not simple. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Duan Lingtian was still thinking about Huaner's background when he heard the divine crystal. At this moment, a loud voice rang in the air. The clan leader of the Liu clan, Liu Quan, has come with the old ancestor of the Liu clan and the former clan leader of the Liu clan to visit the clan leader of the Qi clan and the old ancestor of the Qi clan. This resounding voice was extremely penetrating. As it spread throughout the entire Qi family mansion, it also reached the main hall of the Qi family mansion. "It's the clan leader of the Liu clan, Liu Quan. The Liu clan is here." Qi Yunsheng, the clan leader of the Qi clan, narrowed his eyes slightly. "Lord, the Liu clan is here to denounce us for the death of Liu Wenbin, the first young master of the Liu clan." Qi Yu, the second young master of the Qi clan, said in a low voice as he looked at Duan Lingtian and Huan. However, a hint of schadenfreude could be seen in the depths of Qi Yu's eyes. In his opinion, the people from the Liu clan were digging their own graves by coming here. Even the clan leader of the Qi clan and the old ancestor of the Qi clan who were kneeling on the ground thought the Liu clan was digging their own graves. In fact, they were already imagining things. After the powerhouses from the Liu clan killed the people from the Liu clan, the Qi clan would be able to annihilate the Liu clan in one fell swoop. From then on, the Qi clan would dominate Qiliu City. At that time, Qiliu City would have to change its name. After all, the Liu clan would be gone. The Liu clan? Just in time. Duan Lingtian rose to his feet as his celestial origin energy surged out of his body. Together with the Devata artifact, the seven orifices exquisite sword, his celestial origin energy formed a myriad of seven-colored sword rays on the surface of his body before he cast the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic. Sword formation. 13 green lotus swords. At the same time, the thousands of sword radiances on the surface of Duan Lingtian's body converged into a sword array. They circled around his body and brought out a dozen phantoms. Finally they gathered together. The sword array formed by the convergence of seven-colored sword radiances suddenly burst into light and illuminated the entire Qi family's main hall. In an instant, the entire Qi family hall seemed to be immersed in a sea of seven colors. What a powerful force. This purple-clad young man is no weaker than an ordinary heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestial. The hearts of the Qi family's patriarch and old ancestor shuddered. This was especially true for the head of the Qi clan. If he were to fight the current Duanling Tian, he knew that he had no chance of winning. At most, he would be able to fight the Duanling Tian to a draw. He's still concealing his strength? At this time, Qi Yu and the Qi family elder also vaguely realized this point. Although Duanling Tian had unleashed his full strength, the clan leader and the old ancestor of the Qi clan were not on guard at all. This was because they thought Duanling Tian was accumulating his strength to deal with the Liu clan's members who were charging at them. Naturally, the reason they were not on guard was mostly because of the veiled woman sitting next to Duanling Tian. This woman was an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It would be easy for her to kill them. For this reason, it did not cross their minds that Duanling Tian was making such a big fuss just to kill them. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The clan leader and supreme elder of the Qi clan finally realized that Duanling Tian had been accumulating his strength for the sake of attacking them. Horror dawned on their faces. They instinctively wanted to fight back. Alas, before they could even muster their celestial origin energies, Duanling Tian's seven-colored sword formation had already shrouded them and killed them. Blood flowed like a river in the Qi clan's main hall. The clan leader of the Qi clan, the old ancestor of the Qi clan, Qi Yu, and the old ancestor of the Qi clan were all killed by Duanling Tian. Huan was taken aback by Duanling Tian's actions. She asked curiously, Duanling Tian, didn't you tell me there's no need to take their celestial stones and kill them if they didn't provoke us? What are you? Huan was not bothered by the bloody scene. She was more concerned about Duanling Tian's actions. Clearly, Duanling Tian's actions were different from what he had taught her. You're right, Huan. After killing the 4 people from the Qi clan, Duanling Tian looked at Huan and said, I killed them not because they provoked us, but because they know you have the divine crystal. Once the divine crystal in your possession is exposed, both you and I will attract a fatal calamity. After all, many people will want to take it away from you. Duanling Tian's expression was solemn when he spoke. A man's wealth was his fault. After living 2 lives, Duanling Tian knew this very well. For this reason, Duanling Tian had decided to kill the 4 members of the Qi clan who knew about the divine crystals in her possession. He wanted to eliminate all potential threats before it was too late. Initially, when the clan leader of the Qi clan handed over the 1 million prominent celestial stones, he had no intention of making things difficult for the Qi clan. Unfortunately, the development of events was often beyond his control. Due to the divine crystal, he had no choice but to do this. He did not want Huan hands to be stained with blood because he did not want a young girl like Huan to have too much blood on her hands. It was better for him to do these things. Take what's mine? This. Huan touched the pendant of the necklace around her neck. A hint of coldness could be seen on her face as she said, This is something my mother left behind for me. I'll kill anyone who tries to take it away from me. Huan, the world is big. Duanling Tian sighed and said, There are many powerful people in this world. You can't stop them if they want to take what's yours. For this reason, what we need to do now is to keep the secret of the divine crystal a secret. Huan nodded and said, Yes, my mother told me that there are many people stronger than her in this world. I'm still not as strong as my mother was when she left. Huan nodded. Duanling Tian continued to say, For this reason, don't open the small box on your necklace in front of others. Once you open it, the secret of the divine crystal will be known to others. Even if those people don't have the ability to take the divine crystal from you, they'll spread the news. Once the news reaches the ears of those who are stronger than you, you won't be able to stop that person from snatching your divine crystal. You can only watch as he takes it away. Duanling Tian nodded. Huan nodded obediently. It was obvious she understood the severity of the matter. At the same time, Duanling Tian raised his hand and collected the spatial rings of the 4 people from the Qi clan. His eyes lit up when he saw the wealth in the 4 people's spatial rings. There are more than 100,000 supreme celestial stones in the Qi clan's spatial rings. However, there are very few low-grade celestial stones. There are also tens of thousands of supreme celestial stones in the clan leader of the Qi clan's possession. Duanling Tian did not care about the wealth in the spatial rings of the Qi clan's second young master, Qi Yu, and the elder from the Qi clan. Huan, come with me to meet the people from the Liu clan. Duanling Tian said as he looked at Huan. Before we leave Qi Liu City, we can still make a fortune from the Liu clan. Duanling Tian narrowed his eyes, and a hint of a smile appeared on his face as he rose into the air. Are we going to rob them of their celestial stones? Huan's eyes lit up immediately. Yes. Duanling Tian nodded. Moreover, how many celestial stones we can rob will depend on your performance. As long as you can subdue them, we'll be able to ask for as many celestial stones as we want. As Duan Lingtian and Huan approached the Lu family had just entered the Qi family's estate. Although the voice of the head of the Lu family had already spread throughout the entire Qi family mansion, no one from the Qi family rose into the air to welcome the head of the Lu family. Because everyone in the Qi family knew, at this time, it was time for the Qi family's patriarch and the Qi family's ancestor to make a move. Otherwise, no one would be able to suppress the menacing Lu family. Who are you? Due to this reason, the group of Liu clan members led by the clan leader of Liu clan, Liu Quan, could not help but frown when they saw the two unfamiliar faces. None of them expected that, at this time, the people who came to greet them were actually not the Qi family patriarch or the Qi family ancestor. Instead, it was a brat who looked like he was still wet behind the ears and a woman wearing a veil. A veil? At this moment, Liu Quan, the clan leader of Liu clan, seemed to have thought of something. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Duan Lingtian and Huan coldly. You're the man and woman who killed my son? The other members of the Liu clan regained their senses immediately. They stared at Duan Lingtian and Huan as though they were facing a formidable enemy. The fact that these two people dared to greet them at this time meant that they were either here to die or were not afraid of them. Based on their expressions, it did not seem like the former. So, you're the ones who killed my grandson, Lu Wenbin? The clan leader of Liu clan, the former clan leader of Liu clan, was one of the only two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials in the Liu clan. When he looked at Duan Lingtian and Huan, killing intent surged out of his body. Chapter 27:14. Duan Lingtian's expression remained calm as he faced the hostile gazes of the people from the Liu clan. It was as though he would remain calm even if Mount Tai were to collapse in front of him. Huan Duan Lingtian called out softly before he said indifferently, "Show them your strength." The people from the Liu clan were stunned when they heard Duan Lingtian's words. They instinctively turned to look at Huaner, who was standing next to Duan Lingtian. At this moment, a chilling aura rose from Huaner's eyes. In the next moment, swoosh. Huaner waved her hand, and a terrifying wave of cold energy appeared in the air. Before the people from the Liu clan could react, the cold energy had already shrouded them. However, Huaner knew when to stop. The cold energy shrouded the people from the Liu clan below their waists. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Before the people from the Liu family could react, they were frozen into ice sculptures from the waist down. Waves of cold air rose from the void beneath their feet. The cold air became denser and finally condensed into ice. Boom. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, accompanied by a series of rumbling sounds that seemed to have come out of nowhere, the waves of cold air that had condensed into ice in the void finally condensed and turned into a vast ice platform. A platform that was completely condensed and formed from ice. As soon as the platform appeared, it was put to good use. Bang, 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 bang. The sound of heavy objects crashing into each other reverberated in the air. The people from the Liu clan, whose lower bodies were frozen, could no longer maintain their celestial origin energy. As a result, they slowly fell from the sky and smashed onto the ice platform. This was due to the fact that they did not fall quickly. Otherwise, with such a smash, half of their bodies that were frozen into ice sculptures would definitely be smashed into smithereens. At that time, they would all become cripples with half of their bodies paralyzed. Even so, the people from the Liu clan who landed on the ice platform were still in a daze. It took them a long time to regain their senses. Swoosh, shwa. The first to regain their senses were the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Liu clan. They were the ancestor and the former clan leader of the Liu clan. Horror dawned on them as they looked at the veiled woman in unison. Their eyes were filled with fear and panic. Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. This woman is an overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. At this moment, the two Heavenly Realm Great Overarching Golden Celestials from the Liu family were also shocked. As Heaven Realm Great Overarching Golden Immortals, they could not react to the means displayed by the veiled woman standing next to the purple-clad young man. By the time he reacted, he had already been struck. This also allowed them to confirm one thing. She was at least an overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Even a peak Golden Immortal did not have the ability to put them in such a sorry state. Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Such an existence was enough to annihilate the Liu family's group of people with the flip of a palm. Lord Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, we're here for the Qi clan. Please forgive us for our earlier offense. Please forgive us, my lord. The old ancestor of the Liu family and the former clan leader of the Liu family bowed and apologized to Huan. Their bodies trembled violently as they apologized to Huan. Even the former clan leader of the Liu family, who had threatened to avenge his grandson earlier, had no choice but to admit defeat at this moment. Although it was important to avenge his grandson, it also depended on the situation. Based on the current situation, it was impossible for him to avenge his grandson. For this reason, he had no choice but to give up despite his reluctance. After all, if he did not give up, he might lose his life. Moreover, even if he lost his life, he might not be able to avenge his grandson. After living for so many years, it was only natural for him to know what was more important. Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial? This woman is an overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial? The patriarch of the Liu family and the elders of the Liu family were shocked when they heard the words of the Liu family's old ancestor. It was as if a storm had set off in their hearts. They were no longer surprised when they saw the old ancestor of the Liu family and the former clan leader of the Liu family kneeling before the veiled woman. After all, she was an overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Her strength far surpassed the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials of the Liu family. Greetings, Lord Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Greetings, Lord Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Under the lead of Liu Quan, the clan leader of the Liu family, the elders of the Liu family bowed respectfully to Huan from the beginning until the end. They no longer looked as arrogant as before. On the contrary, their bodies trembled violently like the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Liu clan. An overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. An overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. An overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial could easily kill all of them in a fit of rage. Duan Tian, how did I do? At this moment, Huan looked at Duan Tian with a smile on her face as though she was asking for credit for her actions. Good. You did well, Huan. Duan Tian patted Huan's head with a smile and said, Huan, remove the energy that froze them. All right. Huan nodded obediently. Then she raised her hand and a gust of wind blew past. Whoosh. As the gust of wind blew past, apart from the ice platform that was hovering in the air, the frozen bodies of the people from the Liu family returned to normal. However, they were still emitting a chilling aura. Thud. The two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Liu family were the first to recover. As soon as they recovered, they knelt in front of Huan and looked at Duan Tian with fear and uneasiness in their eyes. Perhaps the purple-clad young man was not as strong as them. However, based on what they had seen earlier, they could tell that the purple-clad young man in front of them was a terrifying existence. After all, the purple-clad young man was the leader of the terrifying woman in the veil. If the purple-clad young man had asked for their deaths, the woman would not have shown them any mercy. Thud. After the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Liu family knelt in front of Duan Tian and Huan, the clan leader of the Liu family and the elders from the Liu family also knelt on the ice platform. Clan leader Liu, you're right. When the Liu clan members all knelt down, Duan Tian inadvertently glanced at the Liu clan's patriarch, Liu Quan, and said indifferently, your son, the Liu clan's eldest young master Liu Wenbin, was indeed killed by me. If Patriarch Liu wants to avenge your son, you can make a move now. When Duan Tian reached the end of his sentence, he looked at Liu Quan meaningfully. I wouldn't dare. Liu Quan lowered his head and shook his head in panic when he heard Duan Tian's words. It was as though asking him to attack Duan Tian was as difficult as asking him to kill Duan Tian. In fact, Liu Quan did not think that asking him to attack Duan Tian was any different from asking him to kill Duan Tian. What a joke. Perhaps the purple-clad young man was not as strong as him. However, the purple-clad young man seemed to be the only one who had the cultivation base of an overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial as well. If he attacked the purple-clad young man, he would be killed by the woman before he could even touch the purple-clad young man. Does this mean you don't want to avenge your son, clan leader Liu? Duan Tian asked again. No. I won't avenge him. My unfilial son deserved to die for offending you, my lord. Thank you, my lord, for helping me clean up the mess. Thank you, my lord, for helping me clean up the mess. LV Quan was just about to say, no, I won't. However, when he thought about it, he felt it was inappropriate. He quickly changed his words and thanked Duan Tian instead. What about you? Based on what you said earlier, Liu Wenbin is your grandson? Duan Tian asked as he looked at Liu Quan's father, the former clan leader of the Liu clan. My unfilial grandson was blind to have offended you, my lord. Thank you, my lord, for helping me clean up the mess. The former clan leader of the Liu clan had always been extremely unwilling in his heart. He also knew that when one was under someone else's roof, one had no choice but to lower one's head. Following his son, he repeatedly thanked Duan Lingtian. Very good. Duan Lingtian grinned and did not beat around the bush as he said, everyone from the Liu clan, you should thank us instead. Chem? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the people from the Liu clan were so angry that they almost vomited blood. The two men in front of them had forced them to kneel, and yet they were still being asked to thank them? Although they felt indignant, they did not dare to show it on their faces. Earlier, I killed 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials from the Qi clan. I'm sure this is good news for everyone from the Liu clan, right? Duan Lingtian said. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the people from the Liu clan straightened their backs. Although they were still kneeling on the ground, their backs were as straight as javelins. My lord, are you serious? Liu Quan asked with bright eyes and hurried breathing. At this moment, not only was he no longer feeling indignant, but the resentment he felt for not being able to avenge his son had disappeared as well. Is there a need for me to lie to you? Duan Lingtian glanced at Liu Quan indifferently and said, speaking of which, I've helped the Liu clan this time. From now on, the Liu clan will be the only clan in Qiliu City. Indeed, their auras are no longer there. At the same time, the divine consciousness of the 2 great overarching golden celestials from the Liu family confirmed that the aura of the 2 great overarching golden celestials was gone. It was as though they had vanished into thin air. Chapter 27:15. My lord, the entire Liu clan is grateful for your kindness. After receiving confirmation from the 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials, Liu Quan, the clan leader of the Liu clan, quickly bowed and apologized to Duan Lingtian. A hint of joy could be seen on his face. It was as though Duan Lingtian was his savior and not the one who had killed his son. Thank you, my lord. The group of Liu clan elders who followed behind the clan leader also expressed their gratitude to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, they could not suppress the excitement on their faces. They knew very well what the death of the 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials from the Qi clan meant. It meant the Qi clan would no longer be able to stop the Liu clan. The Liu clan would become the new ruler of Qiliu City. But I seem to have killed your son. Duan Lingtian glanced indifferently at Liu Quan as he brought up an old matter. My lord, you've given the Liu clan a chance to rule Qiliu City, let alone a son. If you're willing, I can have a few more sons for you to kill. LV Quan was so excited that he lost his composure. He was not afraid of Duan Lingtian and Huan Er's strength. He was speaking from the bottom of his heart. If he could have used his son's death in exchange for the Liu clan's rule in Qiliu City, he would have killed his son with his own hands. In his eyes, the Liu clan's fate was sealed. He could always have another son. However, even if he lost the chance to rule Qiliu City, it would not happen again. He had his own thoughts on which was more important and which was more important. Duan Lingtian was speechless when he heard Liu Quan's words. He did not dwell on the matter since he did not think it was necessary. In Liu Quan's opinion, the clan's interest was more important than anything else. However, I've helped the Liu clan to get rid of the 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials from the Qi clan. Shouldn't the Liu clan do something about it? Duan Lingtian said with narrowed eyes. Of course, Liu Quan replied. Liu Quan answered as he looked at his father. Then the 2 of them looked at the old ancestor of the Liu family. My lord, what do you want? As long as it is within the power of our Liu family, we will definitely cooperate. Liu family's old ancestor looked at Duan Lingtian and said seriously. First of all, I want the largest map that your Liu family can provide. That map must be very detailed. Duan Lingtian said lightly. Perhaps that kind of map could be found in the storage rings of the Qi family members who had died at his hands, but he was too lazy to look for it. This is a small matter. The old ancestor of the Liu family, who thought that Duan Lingtian had a difficult task for the Liu family, was relieved when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Sir, is there anything else you need? The ancestor of the Liu family continued to ask. Yes, there's one more thing. Duan Lingtian nodded. He glanced at the people from the Liu clan before he narrowed his eyes and said, the 2 of us will leave in 3 days. I want to see 1 million supreme celestial stones in 3 days. 1 million supreme-grade immortal stones. As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, everyone from the Liu family, including the Liu family's old ancestor, paled. My lord, the Liu clan's old ancestor said bitterly, The Liu clan can only come up with 300 to 400,000 supreme celestial stones at once. If you give us more time, we might be able to come up with 500,000 or 600,000 supreme celestial stones, but 3 days is too short. You said it yourself, it's your Liu family. Now that the two Heaven Realm great overarching golden immortals from the Qi family are dead, you can eat up the Qi family immediately. At that time, won't you be able to gather 1 million supreme grade celestial stones? Duan Lingtian said lightly. My lord, there is something you don't know. The old ancestor of the Liu clan took a deep breath before he mustered up his courage and said, for clans like the Liu clan and the Qi clan, at least half of the clan's wealth is in the hands of two Heaven Realm great overarching golden celestials. Since you've killed the two people from the Qi clan, I'm sure their spatial rings are in your hands as well. For this reason, almost half of the Qi clan's wealth is in your hands, my lord. The old ancestor of the Liu clan said. 800,000 supreme grade celestial stones. Duan Lingtian waved his hand impatiently when he heard the old ancestor of the Liu clan's words. 800,000 supreme grade celestial stones. I want to see it in 3 days. If I don't see it, I don't mind sending the two Heaven Realm great overarching golden celestials from the Qi clan to hell. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he ignored the shocked expressions of the people from the Liu clan and looked at Huan. The impatience on his face disappeared and was replaced by a smile. Huan let's go. All right. Huan nodded obediently before she left with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian and Huan figures slowly disappeared from the sight of the people from the Liu clan. The people from the Liu clan watched as Duan Lingtian and Huan left. However, none of them dared to say a word, because they had all seen it. They knew the purple-clad young man had made a huge concession. Who are they? The former clan leader of the Liu clan muttered to himself after Duan Lingtian and Huan's figures had disappeared from sight. I don't know. Liu Quan shook his head when he heard his father's question. They must be outsiders. It might even be their first time in Qiliu City. From today onward, Qiliu City will cease to exist. Only Liu City will exist. The old ancestor of the Liu clan said with a scoff. Liu City? As soon as the old ancestor of the Liu clan finished speaking, the eyes of the Liu clan's people lit up like bright stars in the night sky, gorgeous and dazzling. Old ancestor, can we really gather 800,000 supreme grade celestial stones in 3 days? Liu Quan could not help but pour cold water on the hopes of the people from the Liu clan. It doesn't matter if we can gather that many supreme grade celestial stones or not. Didn't you see the Lord's attitude earlier? The old ancestor of the Liu clan said in a deep voice. Then the old ancestor of the Liu clan looked at the former clan leader of the Liu clan and said, Liu Jiao, after we've taken over the Qi clan, you'll make a trip to the surrounding cities. Look for clans and sects that cooperate with the Liu clan and borrow as many supreme celestial stones as you can. Yes, old ancestor. The former clan leader of the Liu clan bowed respectfully. Although they were both heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials, the old ancestor of the Liu clan was much stronger than him. Moreover, the old ancestor of the Liu clan was much more senior than him. For this reason, he did not dare to be careless in front of the old ancestor of the Liu clan. Following that, the people from the Liu clan charged into the Qi clan's estate like hungry wolves pouncing on their prey. Since the Qi clan had lost their two most powerful heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials, the remaining high-ranking members of the Liu clan were no match for the two heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials. It did not take long before all the great overarching golden celestials in the Qi clan's estate were killed. On the other hand, there were no casualties on the Liu clan's side. In just a day, the Qi clan that was supposed to be on par with the Liu clan was devoured by the Liu clan without any casualties. When news of this spread, it caused an uproar in Qiliu City. The next day, the Liu clan made an announcement. From today onward, Qiliu City would be renamed as Liu City. No one in Qiliu City dared to object to this announcement. They're quite fast. I only hope they'll be able to hand over the 800,000 supreme-grade celestial stones on time. Duan Lingtian could not help but mutter to himself as he listened to the discussions in the restaurant. He was seated in a private room near the main hall of a restaurant in Liu City. Meanwhile, Huan who had removed her veil sat across from Duan Lingtian as she swept through the dishes on the table. Although Huan had lost her image, she was still beautiful and flawless from every angle. Even Duan Lingtian, who was as calm as a lake, could not help but stare at Huan from time to time. Brother Lingtian, I'm full. After about an hour, Huan wiped her greasy mouth and said to Duan Lingtian with a smile, the food outside is delicious. Brother Lingtian, can you bring me out to eat every day? All right, as long as you're happy. Duan Lingtian nodded with a smile on his face. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by the change in the way Huan addressed him. After leaving the Qi clan's estate yesterday, Duan Lingtian had brought Huan around Qiliu City to buy many things for her. During their shopping spree, they had encountered a few lovey-dovey couples. When Huan heard the way they addressed each other, she changed the way she addressed him. She no longer called him Duan Lingtian. Instead, she called him Brother Lingtian. Naturally, he knew the change in the way she addressed him did not mean anything. Huan was still the same Huan. She was still the same Huan who knew nothing about love. She was as pure as a piece of white paper. Even though the white paper was now stained with some colors, most of the places were still white and translucent. Since we're full, shall we go out for a walk? Duan Lingtian asked with a smile on his face. Sure. I still have a lot of things I wanted to buy yesterday. Huan nodded like a chick pecking at rice. After that, Duan Lingtian and Huan strolled around Qiliu City for 2 days before they arrived at the entrance of the Liu clan's estate. Greetings, my lords. Greetings, my lords. When Duan Lingtian and Huan arrived at the entrance of the Liu clan's estate, the high-ranking members of the Liu clan, whom Duan Lingtian and Huan had met 3 days ago, were all present. They bowed humbly at Duan Lingtian and Huan. Is everything ready? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at the old ancestor of the Liu clan. He had noticed 3 days ago that the old ancestor of the Liu clan was a member of the Liu clan. The old man was the leader of the Liu clan. My lord, everything is ready. Chapter 27:16. Duan Lingtian nodded after he took the spatial ring from the Liu clan's old ancestor and performed the ownership claim on the spatial ring. Yes, there were 1 million supreme celestial stones. Apart from that, there was also a memory celestial talisman. A map of the memory celestial talisman? Duan Lingtian's eyes brightened immediately. With just a thought, he took out the memory celestial talisman. After he sent his celestial origin energy into the memory celestial talisman, a map appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. The map covered the entire Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, the neighboring celestial kingdoms, and even some distant regions. I'm currently in Qiliu City. Qiliu City is only 200,000 miles away from the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. This is the King City of King Qin's mansion. It's more than 1 million miles away from Qiliu City. That's the 9 Spectres County and the Bloody Spectre City under King Qin's manor. After Duan Lingtian used the memory celestial talisman, a map appeared in his mind. It allowed Duan Lingtian to know his current location, his surroundings. If I'm not mistaken, this map of the memory celestial talisman is extremely valuable. When the memory celestial talisman in Duan Lingtian's hand disappeared, he regained his senses and looked at the old ancestor of the Liu clan meaningfully. In the Devata realms, maps were divided into ordinary maps and memory celestial talismans. The latter was extremely valuable because not many people were willing to spend so much time and effort to carve a map on a memory celestial talisman. Instead of spending so much time and effort on cultivating, one might as well spend it on cultivating. It was not worth it to carve a map. Naturally, this did not mean no one was willing to spend so much time and effort to carve a map. If that was the case, there wouldn't be a memory immortal talisman map that Duan Lingtian had just used. Normally, only those who were limited by their talent and could not make any progress in their cultivation, and those who did not have the ability to easily earn immortal stones would spend a lot of time and energy to carve memory immortal talisman maps in order to earn a large amount of immortal stones. It was also because of this that Duan Lingtian said that the memory immortal talisman map was very valuable. As long as my lord is satisfied. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the old ancestor of the Liu family heaved a sigh of relief and quickly responded. Ever since Duan Lingtian said he was the one who killed the 2 Heaven Realm great overarching golden celestials from the Qi clan 3 days ago, the old ancestor of the Liu clan had regarded Duan Lingtian as a peak great overarching golden celestial. He feared Duan Lingtian from the bottom of his heart. Naturally, even if he did not fear Duan Lingtian, he would not dare to act recklessly in front of Duan Lingtian since Huan was by his side. At most, he would secretly look down on Duan Lingtian. Huan, now that we've obtained the item, it's time for us to leave this city. After Duan Lingtian put the spatial ring away, he looked at Huan who had put her veil back on and said with a faint smile on his face. Leave this city? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Huan tugged at Duan Lingtian's sleeve and said with a pitiful look in her eyes, Brother Lingtian, I haven't had enough fun yet. Why don't we play for a while longer? We'll leave after I've had enough fun? The people from the Liu family were stunned when they saw Huan expression. Was this the same overarching heavenly supreme celestial who had subdued and killed them with just a wave of his hand? Why does she look more like a little girl who hasn't grown up yet? Juan, it's fine if you don't want to leave. However, don't blame Brother Ling Tian for not reminding you that the place we're going to is much more fun than this place. Duan Ling Tian said with a smile. More fun than this place? Huan Er's eyes lit up. She waved her hand and sent out a wave of celestial origin energy that emitted a cold aura. The people from the Lu family were on guard. In just a blink of an eye, Huan Er and Duan Ling Tian disappeared from the entrance of the Lu family's estate. Brother Ling Tian, let's go to a more fun place. Huan Er's voice rang in the ears of the people from the Lu family. All of a sudden, the people from the Lu family looked at each other and saw the shock and astonishment in each other's eyes. Was he really an overarching heavenly supreme celestial? Why did he sound like a playful child who had yet to grow up? Ancestor, how strong do you think the purple-clad young man is? Is he an overarching heavenly supreme celestial as well? Lu Quan, the clan leader of the Lu family, could not help but ask. I don't know if he's an overarching heavenly supreme celestial or not. However, since he killed the 2 heaven-rank great overarching golden celestials from the Qi family, it means he's at least a peak great overarching golden celestial. The Lu family's ancestor replied. Most importantly, Lu Quan suddenly said. All of a sudden, the old ancestor of the Liu family narrowed his eyes as if he had thought of something. 3 days ago, when I probed them with my divine sense, I accidentally discovered that the aura of their flesh and blood was enough to prove that they were not even 100 years old. Less than 100 years old. As soon as the Lu family's ancestor finished speaking, the atmosphere fell silent again. Is this for real? One of them is at least a peak great overarching golden celestial, and the other is an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. The Lu family members present couldn't help but question in their hearts. They didn't dare to believe that the man and woman were actually less than 100 years old. 3 days ago I thought I was mistaken. It seems like they're really less than 100 years old. Lu Quan's father, the former clan leader of the Lu family and the other heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestial in the Lu family, sighed when he heard the Lu family's ancestors' words. His sigh dispelled the doubts in the others' minds. If the Lu family's ancestor was the only one who had said this, they could still suspect that he had been mistaken. However, even the former clan leader of the Lu family had said the same thing. Regarding this, they could only firmly believe it. Heavens! A peak great overarching golden celestial and an overarching heavenly supreme celestial less than 100 years old? Who are they? He must be from a big place. Let alone an overarching heavenly supreme celestial who's younger than 100 years old. We don't even have a peak great overarching golden celestial who's younger than 100 years old in the high-rank celestial kingdoms. I think so as well. They must be young disciples from powerful sects or clans that are superior to high-rank celestial kingdoms. It's our luck that we managed to unite Qi Liu City with them. There's no comparison. A young man who's not even 100 years old is strong enough to topple a clan that has existed for thousands of years. It's hard to imagine the power behind them. After Duan Ling Tian and Huan Er left, the people from the Lu family discussed among themselves. In the end they came to a consensus. Duan Ling Tian and Huan Er were from powerful forces that were superior to high-rank celestial kingdoms. As for those forces, they were forces that they could only look at but not reach. Let alone the Liu clan, even the strongest imperial family in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, the Liu clan, was not a match for those forces at all. I still don't understand. Why did they kill the people from the Qi family? Why did they help us? The old ancestor of the Lu family sighed. Then, under the watchful eyes of the people from the Lu family, he continued to say, think about it. Duan Ling Tian and Huan Er killed the people from the Lu family and followed the people from the Qi family to the Qi family. There's no way the people from the Qi family wouldn't have probed them. Once we find out how strong they are, the Qi clan will definitely treat them as guests of honor. At that time, when our Lu clan goes looking for them, we will inevitably be killed by them. At that time, the Qi family will unify Qi Liu City. However, before we went to the Qi family, they had already killed the 2 heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Qi family. Is it because the Qi clan was blind and offended them, which is why they were killed? I have a feeling things aren't that simple. The people from the Qi family wouldn't be so reckless. The more the old ancestor of the Lu family spoke, the more confused he became. He had interacted with the people from the Qi family all his life. He knew the 2 heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Qi family were not reckless people. For this reason, He found it strange that the two mysterious young men would kill the two heaven-ranked great overarching golden celestials from the Qi family to help the Lu family. You're right, it doesn't make sense. The people from the Lu family also felt that something was amiss when they heard the old ancestor of the Lu family's words. However, they did not expect the old ancestor of the Qi family. This time, the Qi family and not the Lu family were annihilated in Qiliu City because the people from the Qi family knew something they were not supposed to know. Otherwise, the Lu family would not be the ones who would unify Qiliu City. The old Qiliu City was located outside of the current Liu City. Brother Ling Tian, where's the fun place we're going to? Is it far? After Huan brought Duan Ling Tian out of the city, her beautiful face was filled with eagerness. It was as though she could not wait to grow a pair of wings and fly to a more fun place. Huan, we're going to the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom now. Duan Ling Tian said with a smile. To be more precise, we're going to the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was the nearest high-rank celestial kingdom to the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Duan Ling Tian had chosen the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom as his next stop because he did not have a better choice. The high-rank Celestial Kingdom was only 3 million miles away from the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Chapter 27:17. Duan Ling Tian and Huan left Qiliu City and headed to the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Previously, Nangongli had successfully escaped from Duan Ling Tian and Huan using the fleeting light shadow talisman that was inscribed by a celestial duke. He had been hiding in a cave in the mountains for a long time. At this moment, the savior he had been waiting for finally arrived. Father, why did you come here? Nangong did not expect his father, the clan leader of the Nangong clan, would come here personally. What's going on? Didn't I ask the two elders to follow you? Nangong's father, the clan leader of the Nangong clan Nangong Zheng, was a middle-aged man with a medium build and an ordinary appearance. However, there was a hint of shrewdness in his eyes. He looked at Nangong with a slightly gloomy expression on his face. Because Nangongli had only said in his immortal message talisman that he was in danger, and had asked his father to send someone to fetch him, his father still did not know what had happened. Father, the two elders are dead. Nangong Ji and Nangong, you are dead as well. Nangongli smiled bitterly. The only reason I'm still alive is because of the floating light and shadow talisman you gave me. You used the floating light and shadow talisman? Nangong Zheng's eyes widened when he heard his son's words. Even the two Nangong clan elders' expressions changed slightly when they heard Nangong Li's words. The flickering light shadow talisman was an extremely precious immortal talisman. At the very least, it was extremely precious to the Nangong family. Even in the Nangong family there were only two of them. Nangong clan had spent a lot of effort to obtain the two floating light and shadow talismans. One floating light and shadow talisman was in the possession of Nangong Zheng, the clan leader of the Nangong clan. Nangong Zheng had given the other floating light and shadow talisman to his son. Now that they heard that Nangong Li had used up the flickering light and shadow talisman, Nangong Zheng and the two Nangong elders behind him subconsciously felt their hearts ache. After all, the flickering light and shadow talisman was not an immortal talisman that could be easily obtained. What the hell happened? Nangong Zheng asked grimly. The two elders he had sent to his son had died, and his son had even used the flickering light and shadow talisman. This made him realize that his son had definitely encountered an extremely great danger and had directly used the flickering light and shadow talisman to escape. Before Nangong Zheng, Nangong Li did not dare to lie. As he spoke, he began to narrate the entire sequence of events. What? You did it all, light and shadow did it? Moreover, you're the one who provoked her. Upon hearing Nangong's words, Nangong Zheng raised his voice. His voice was filled with anger as he glared at Nangong Li. It was as though he could not wait to slap Nangong Li a few times. Father. She's not an ordinary woman. Not only is she powerful, but her appearance is definitely top-notch among all the women I've ever seen. The other women can only look up to her. Nangong Li retorted when he heard the anger in his father's voice. It just so happens that I used the floating image pearl when the two elders made their move. Although it only recorded a brief moment, I was able to see the woman's appearance. As soon as Nangong Li finished speaking, he brought out another floating image pearl and channeled his celestial origin energy into it. In the next moment, a trembling mirror image appeared in front of Nangong Zheng's eyes. It was frozen in the void. In the frozen mirror image there were two figures. One was a purple-clad young man, and the other was a white-clad young woman. As soon as the mirror image froze, Nangong Zheng and the two elders from the Nangong clan behind him turned to look at the white-clad young woman in the mirror image. As soon as their eyes landed on her, it was difficult for them to look away. This was because the white-clad young woman was simply too perfect. Her eyebrows were as beautiful as a painting, and her eyes were as clear as water. She was tall and slender, and she was dressed in a thin white robe. The cold aura she exuded made her seem like a celestial. She was elegant and refined, and she looked like a celestial who had descended from the heavens. Her perfect cheeks in particular looked like they were created by the Creator. It was as though there were no flaws in her cheeks at all. Whether it was Nangong Zheng or the two elders from the Nangong clan behind him, they would never have imagined that they would be able to see such a scene before today. They had lived for half of their lives, and their hearts were as calm as water when it came to women. However, they would still be stunned by a woman's appearance. I didn't expect there to be such a perfect woman in this world. It's no wonder that young Master Li and the two boys couldn't hold themselves back. If it was when I was young, I definitely wouldn't be able to hold myself back either. After the two elders from the Nangong clan regained their senses, they sighed. Nangong Zheng sighed as well. How could he not have the same thoughts as well? I wonder, who on earth are that man and woman? One of the elders from the Nangong clan said with a fearful expression. No matter who they are, I won't let them off so easily for killing my people from the Nangong clan. Nangong Zheng said in a cold tone. After he finished speaking, he looked at Nangong Li and said, Li, when we return this time, bring the floating image pearl in your hand to see the sixth prince. I think if the sixth prince sees the woman in the floating image mirror, he'll definitely be interested in her and even want to obtain her. A hint of conspiracy could be seen in the depths of Nangong Zheng's eyes when he finished speaking. He wanted to use the sixth prince as a tool. Furthermore, he believed that with the sixth prince's character, after seeing that perfect and flawless woman in white, he would definitely try to obtain her at all costs. Just as Nangong Zheng had expected. When Nangong Zheng returned to the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom and brought the floating image pearl to the sixth prince of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, the sixth prince's eyes lit up immediately. His breathing quickened as he left his seat and flew to Nangong Zheng's side. Nangong Zheng. Who's this woman? The sixth prince asked bluntly as he lifted Nangong Zheng's collar. The sixth prince was a young man wearing a long golden robe. He had a thin figure and his footsteps were light. There was a haze between his eyebrows. However, from the speed he displayed just now, one could tell that he was not weak. At the very least, he was much stronger than Nangong Zheng. Nangong Zheng, the sixth prince is asking you a question. Nangong Zheng, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and reply to the sixth prince. Nangong Zheng was still in a daze when he saw the sixth prince's reaction. A group of young men dressed in luxurious robes sitting on both sides of the main seat began to reprimand him. These young men were all disciples of great clans in the capital. Each of them was from a clan that was not any weaker than the Nangong clan behind Nangong Li. Sixth prince, I don't know who she is as well. I met her outside, Nangong Zheng said with a wry smile on his face. Nangong Zheng, don't tell me you brought her back to the Nangong clan and hid her away? A young man dressed in luxurious robes who was not on good terms with Nangong Zheng asked with a sneer. The sixth prince's gaze on Nangong Zheng immediately turned sharper. Sixth prince, if I really brought her back to the Nangong clan, I would definitely give her to you as soon as possible. However, the problem is, I used up a floating light shadow talisman just because I wanted to bring her back and give her to you as a gift. Moreover, two elders from the Nangong clan died because of this. Two of my clan brothers died as well. Nangong Zheng said with a wry smile on his face. Upon hearing Nangong Zheng's words, the sixth prince released his grip on Nangong Zheng's collar. I don't think you dare to deceive me. Take this floating light shadow talisman as a reward for this floating image pearl. If this prince finds that girl in the future and obtains her, this prince will reward you handsomely. The sixth prince said indifferently as he took out a celestial talisman and tossed it to the ground beside Nangong Zheng. Nangong Zheng squatted down and picked up the celestial talisman as he thanked the sixth prince respectfully. Thank you, sixth prince. Thank you, sixth prince. On that day, the sixth prince had ordered his subordinates to search for the whereabouts of the white-clothed woman in the floating image pearl. For this reason, he even had someone who was good at draw a portrait of the white-clothed woman in the floating image pearl. It did not take long before everyone in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom learned that there was a flawless woman in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom and that the sixth prince was looking for her. Moreover, it was said that she was quite strong. She had even killed two yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials from the Nangong clan, the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Even then, many people were still searching for her. After all, the sixth prince would reward them handsomely if they managed to find her, even if they only managed to provide some useful information. Perhaps, if Duanling Tian had left the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom a little later, he would have found out that Huan Er's appearance had been widely spread in the kingdom. While the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom was in an uproar over Huan Er's portrait, meanwhile, Duanling Tian and Huan Er entered the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's territory and arrived outside the capital. Although the buildings in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom were similar to those in ordinary cities, the overall structure and the majestic aura it exuded gave Duanling Tian a new feeling. Duanling Tian was slightly taken aback by this. "Brother Ling Tian. This city is huge," Huan Er said as she stood beside Ling Tian. A hint of surprise could be seen in her clear eyes as she looked at the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. She stood beside Duanling Tian and looked at the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. However, apart from the surprise in her eyes, there was more excitement in them. Such a huge city. There must be a lot of fun and interesting things in there. Chapter 27:18. The capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, a high-rank celestial kingdom, was much more magnificent than Duanling Tian had imagined. Apart from that, there were rules in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Apart from the guards of the capital, no one was allowed to fly in the sky above the capital. Otherwise, it would be considered a provocation to the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. For this reason, Duanling Tian and Huan Er had no choice but to enter the capital through the main entrance. At this moment, not only was she wearing a veil, but she was also wearing a veil on her head. Her eyes were barely visible through the veil, and it was impossible to see her clearly. This was also Duanling Tian's request. Previously, Duanling Tian had been taught a lesson in Qiliu City, so he was well aware of this. Huan Er was still attractive even with a veil on her face. Therefore it was better for her to wear a veil. As it turned out, Duanling Tian was right. After Huan Er put on the veil, she was no longer as attractive as before. On the contrary, the handsome Duanling Tian attracted more women. Even some men looked at Duanling Tian with jealousy in their eyes. There were many handsome men in the world. However, it was rare to see someone as handsome and charismatic as Duanling Tian. Due to this reason, many people instinctively speculated that Duanling Tian must have an extraordinary background when they first laid eyes on him. Otherwise, he would not have such a temperament. As the saying went, dragons give birth to dragons and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. "Brother Ling Tian, can you take off your veil? Look at the people on the street. I don't see anyone wearing a veil." Huan Er walked next to Duanling Tian and saw many women staring at Duanling Tian. For some reason, she felt displeased and took the initiative to ask Duanling Tian to take off his veil. It was not that she wanted to compete with Duanling Tian to see who was more attractive. It was because she felt that as long as she took off her veil, those women's gazes would definitely be on her and not on Duanling Tian. Although Huan Er didn't know much about relationships, after spending so much time with Duanling Tian, she had developed a sense of possessiveness toward Duanling Tian. She did not want to share Duanling Tian with another woman. Even if it was just a few glances. "Huan Er, don't mess around. If you don't listen to me, big brother Ling Tian won't accompany you to find your mother," Duanling Tian said with a straight face. What a joke. He had witnessed Huan Er's charm before. Even if she wore a veil, she would still attract a lot of attention. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he decided to let Huan Er wear the veil. And it turned out that the veil was a good choice. It no longer made Huan Er the center of attention. Under such circumstances, he naturally did not want her to remove her veil. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Apart from that, Duanling Tian found it strange as well. Huan Er had just put on the veil, but why did she not reject it when they first arrived in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom? Alas, Duanling Tian did not expect Huan Er to be jealous of Huan Er. She did this because she didn't want those women to pay too much attention to him. To put it bluntly, Huan Er was jealous. Huan Er was jealous. "You only know how to bully me." Huan Er pouted when she heard Duanling Tian's words. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at Duanling Tian. Although Huan Er was wearing the veil, Duanling Tian could see the tears in her eyes since he was standing close to her. He could not help but feel a headache coming on. He comforted her and said, "Huan Er, brother Ling Tian asked you to wear the veil to avoid unnecessary trouble. With your strength, you might be able to subdue those people in Qiliu City. However, we're in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, a high-rank celestial kingdom. There are many powerhouses here who are stronger than you. It's better for us to keep a low profile. Brother Ling Tian, I promise you that you won't have to wear the veil after we find a place to stay. You can also take off your veil. What do you think? Duan Ling Tian comforted her patiently. Then, Brother Ling Tian, you have to promise me that you'll accompany me to buy a lot of fun and delicious things. Huan begged with tears in her eyes. All right. Brother Ling Tian will accompany you to buy a lot of fun and delicious things. Duan Ling Tian nodded and comforted Huan as though she was a child. Only then did Huan tears stop. Upon seeing this, Duan Ling Tian sighed in relief. In his eyes, Huan was like a child who had yet to grow up. It was tiring for him to keep her by his side. However, what could he do now? Should he dump her? Based on Huan's naivety, it would not take long before she was captured by those men who were stronger than her. At that time, perhaps, death would be the best outcome for her. Duan Ling Tian did not dare to think about it any further. Moreover, to a certain extent, he was the one who brought her out of the ruins. Moreover, it was also thanks to her that he was able to leave the illusory realm. He could not possibly repay her kindness with ingratitude, right? I just hope I can find Huan's mother as soon as possible and bring her back to her mother. At that time I'll be free. Although Duan Ling Tian was a normal man, he had a strong desire to possess Huan. However, his rationality prevailed over his desire. At this moment he still treated Huan as a little girl who had yet to grow up. Huan, let's look for a restaurant to eat first. Duan Ling Tian led Huan through the spacious streets of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom in search of a restaurant with private rooms. After all, he could not possibly let Huan eat in the main hall of a restaurant. Huan would have to remove her veil and hat when she was eating. If she did so in the main hall of a restaurant, who knew how much trouble she would attract? The spacious streets of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom were filled with endless streams of carriages. Pedestrians walked on both sides of the streets while carriages were in the middle. Occasionally one could see strange celestial beast mounts. Naturally, these celestial beast mounts were mostly celestial beasts with no intelligence. For example, the snow-white celestial beasts Duan Ling Tian had seen in King Qin's mansion in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Although their cultivation bases were comparable to Violet Sun Golden Celestials, they had no intelligence and could only be enslaved. Let's go to this restaurant. After a while, Duan Ling Tian and Huan finally arrived at a restaurant in the south of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom that was relatively lively and had vacant rooms. When Duan Ling Tian and Huan entered the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, they had taken the south gate. Even after walking for half a day, they were still in the south of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. One could easily imagine how vast the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was. When the dishes were served, Duan Ling Tian asked the waiter to leave. After he closed the door, Huan removed her veil and hat before she began to sweep her face clean. She did not look ladylike at all. This is delicious. It's delicious here as well. This is delicious as well. Huan devoured the delicacies on the table as she pouted and said to Duan Ling Tian, Brother Ling Tian, the food in this restaurant is much better than the food in the other restaurants. Of course. This is the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom after all. Duan Ling Tian smiled. During their journey to the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, Duan Ling Tian would bring Huan to eat whenever they came across a city. For this reason he was used to seeing Huan devouring delicacies, so he was not surprised at all. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian's ears perked up as he listened to the sounds coming from the restaurant. Earlier, when he was choosing a private room, he had chosen one that was close to the restaurant's main hall. It had to be said that the soundproofing of the private room was quite good. If Duan Ling Tian did not pay attention, he would not have been able to hear the sounds coming from the restaurant's main hall. In the beginning, Duan Ling Tian did not hear anything that piqued his interest. However, after Huaner had finished eating half of the dishes on the table, Duan Ling Tian finally heard something that piqued his interest. A month later, the most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100 will gather in the Imperial Palace. I wonder which mansion will have the most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100. I heard that the Grand Prestige Mansion has a Violet Sun Golden Celestial who's younger than 100 years old. In the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, Violet Sun Golden Celestials younger than 100 years old are extremely rare. A Violet Sun Golden Celestial who's younger than 100 years old? That young powerhouse is very talented. Duan Ling Tian could not help but raise an eyebrow when he heard these people's words. Another young powerhouse under the age of 100 years old? Moreover, they said that the grand mansions under the soaring dragon celestial kingdom are looking for the most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100 years old in their respective territories. Moreover, they will gather in the imperial palace of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom in a month's time. Does this have something to do with the martial competition of the 16 counties held by King Qin's mansion under the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom? Previously, I thought King Qin's mansion must have some ulterior motive for holding the martial competition of the 16 counties and promising such a generous reward. It seems like the imperial family of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom must have ordered King Qin's mansion and the other grand mansions to do so. However, why are the imperial families of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom recruiting the most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100 from their respective territories? Duan Lingtian could not figure it out. Chapter 27:19. Generally speaking, if a person wanted to rise from a small place to make a name for himself in a big place, he would have to rely on his own efforts to stand out. And if a young expert with exceptional talent really appeared in a small place, some of the major powers, including the royal family, would also extend an olive branch to him, but this kind of situation rarely happened, because it was rare for such people to appear. The Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, as a high-rank celestial kingdom, actually ordered the king mansions under its rule to recruit the most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100. On the surface, it seemed as though the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was only looking for talents. However, Duanling Tian could vaguely sense something was amiss. Things shouldn't be that simple. If the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was truly thirsty for talent, they would not have limited the age of the young powerhouses. After all, there were some young powerhouses who were slightly over 100 years old who were much more talented than the young powerhouses under 100 years old. Most importantly, the King Qin's mansion in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom is also looking for young powerhouses below the age of 100. Is King Qin's mansion going to bring the top 10 contestants of the martial competition of the 16 counties to the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom to compete with the young experts under the age of 100 from the other king mansions of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom? As Duanling Tian continued to listen, he learned more. A month later, the 10 most outstanding young powerhouses under the age of 100 would gather in the imperial palace of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, there would be a martial competition to determine the strongest 50 people. It was precisely because of this that he felt, in the martial competition of the 16 counties organized by the King Qin's mansion under the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, the young experts who made it to the top 10 would be brought to the imperial palace in the capital of the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom to compete with the young experts under the age of 100 from the other king mansions under the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian's ears perked up. At the same time, a voice rang from outside. This time, the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom isn't the only one who's chosen. Even the intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms and low-rank celestial kingdoms will select some young powerhouses who are younger than 100 years old. Intermediate celestial kingdoms will select the 30 strongest young experts under the age of 100. Low celestial kingdoms will select the 20 strongest young experts under the age of 100. As soon as this voice was heard, it immediately caused the entire restaurant to fall into a deathly silence. After a while, someone asked, "How do you know?" Mid-rank and low-rank immortal kingdoms will also select young experts who are less than 100 years old? I thought the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was the only one doing it. Why are there so few spots for intermediate and inferior immortal kingdoms? More and more people voiced their doubts. The owner of the voice from before continued, "Judging from your expressions, I don't think you have heard that there will be a Wasteland Grand Competition in a year's time, right? The Grand Contest of the Wasteland is jointly organized by the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland. The participants are the most outstanding young experts under the age of 100 from the celestial kingdoms around the Wasteland. There are 50 spots for high-rank celestial kingdoms, 30 spots for intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms, and 20 spots for low-rank celestial kingdoms. It's said that the best participants in the Grand Contest of the Wasteland will be given a chance to join the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland." As soon as that person's voice fell, the restaurant fell into a dead silence once again. No one made a sound for a long time. The Wasteland? The 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes slightly. At the same time, a map slowly unfolded in his mind. He had obtained this map from the Liu clan in Qiliu City in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. He had obtained the map through a memory celestial talisman. Therefore, after he studied the map, It became part of his memory. This map covers a vast area. The south of the map is a barren mountain, and the north of the barren mountain is the wasteland. There are 373 celestial kingdoms around the wasteland. 39 of them are high-rank celestial kingdoms, 125 intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms, and the rest are low-rank celestial kingdoms. The wasteland is vast, but it doesn't belong to any celestial kingdom. In fact, the wasteland is surrounded by high-rank celestial kingdoms. The Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, the Tai Celestial Sect, and the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. The three celestial sects marked on the map must be the three major celestial sects. Subsequently, the voices that resonated in the restaurant's lobby confirmed Duanling Tian's speculation. The three major celestial sects of the wasteland were indeed the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, the Tai Celestial Sect, and the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. A year later, the Wasteland Grand Contest would be held in the wasteland. At that time, the royal families of the various celestial kingdoms around the desolate region would bring their most outstanding young experts under the age of 100 to participate in the competition. None of the celestial kingdoms would be absent. This was because the three major celestial sects of the wasteland had sent invitations to the 373 celestial kingdoms around the wasteland. At that time, if any celestial kingdom was absent, they would definitely be hated by the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. In the history of the wasteland, similar incidents had happened before. The three major celestial sects of the wasteland were much more powerful than celestial kingdoms. Even high-rank celestial kingdoms could not compare to them. In the Devata realms, celestial sects were much more powerful than high-rank celestial kingdoms. For example, the sects in the various celestial kingdoms that were weaker than the imperial family would not be called celestial sects since they were not qualified to be called celestial sects. The three major celestial sects of the wasteland are much more powerful than high-rank celestial kingdoms. I wonder if they're stronger than the compassionate celestial traveler sect. After learning about the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, Duanlingtian's eyes flashed as a beautiful figure appeared in his mind. Apart from that, he remembered the compassionate celestial traveler sect as well. Previously, he had left King Qin's mansion because the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect had sent someone to kill him. Since the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom is a high-rank celestial kingdom, I should be able to find information about the compassionate celestial traveler sect in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. I should also look for information about the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. With this thought in mind, Duanling Tian made up his mind. Subsequently, the group of people in the restaurant's lobby basically revolved around the Wasteland Grand Tournament. Moreover, most of them were talking about the young experts under the age of 100 that they knew were recruited by a certain king's mansion. However, Duanling Tian was not interested in what they were talking about at all. Don't be in such a hurry. Eat slowly. If these dishes aren't enough, I'll ask them to serve more. Duanling Tian's attention returned to Huan. Huan was still devouring the delicacies on the table like a whirlwind. One could see the number of dishes on the table dwindling at an alarming rate. The empty plates on the table were stacked up to the height of a 7-year-old child. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Huan continued wolfing down the dishes. She only responded to Duanling Tian briefly before she ignored Duanling Tian. What a little glutton. Duanling Tian shook his head with a smile on his face. After Huan finished the dishes on the table, Duanling Tian asked the waiter to serve another 2 tables of dishes. After Huan finished the last 2 tables of dishes, she wiped her greasy mouth and rubbed her stomach. Not bad. I'm 60% full. Let's call it a day. We'll continue tonight. 60% full? Upon hearing Huaner's words, Duanling Tian's mouth twitched. If he did not know Huaner had the bloodline of a celestial beast, he would have thought Huaner was a monster. After Huan put on her veil and hat again, Duanling Tian paid the bill and left the restaurant. He could sense the waiter looking at him and Huan as though they were monsters. Duanling Tian really wanted to turn around and explain that he did not eat anything and that Huaner was the only one who ate. Boom. Rumble. Just as Duanling Tian and Huaner were about to look for an inn to stay in, an earth-shaking rumble rang from the end of the road. In the next moment, Duanling Tian saw another group of celestial beasts. 9 mighty and strange-looking immortal beasts were pulling a roofless carriage as they whistled through the air. They were so fast that they were not inferior to King Qin's carriage that he had seen in King Qin's mansion. These celestial beasts are as strong as Violet Sun Golden Celestials as well. Duanling Tian thought to himself. With this thought in mind, Duanling Tian shifted his gaze to the roofless carriage. A woman dressed in an orange-red dress could be seen sitting on the carriage. Although she was beautiful, she was far from being as beautiful as Huan. Based on the arrogance and haughtiness in her eyes, it was not difficult to tell that she was a spoiled young lady from a wealthy family. When Duan Lingtian looked at the woman on the roofless carriage, the woman noticed his gaze as well. Her eyes lit up as soon as she met his gaze. She looked like a hungry wolf that had just seen its prey. However, since the 9 celestial beasts were moving at a fast speed, the roofless carriage passed by Duan Lingtian and Huaner in just a blink of an eye. Duan Lingtian did not look at the woman as he continued to walk forward with Kerr. Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. This was because he had heard the rumbling of the 9 immortal beasts as they turned their heads and charged towards him. At the same time, he had also sensed something. Chapter 27:20. Boom. Rumble. In just a blink of an eye, the road that Duan Lingtian and Huaner were traveling was filled with clouds of dust. The passers-by who were slower were almost hit by the 9-headed celestial beasts that were charging toward them. When the dust settled, the roofless carriage pulled by the 9-headed celestial beasts appeared in front of Duan Lingtian and Huan. A young woman dressed in an orange-red robe sat on the roofless carriage and stared at Duan Lingtian with a burning gaze. She did not seem reserved at all. Behind the woman on the roofless carriage was a very old woman. The old woman wore a gray robe and stood there expressionlessly. She gave off an unfathomable feeling. "What's your name?" the young woman asked as she looked at Duan Lingtian. Although her voice was pleasant to the ears, it was jarring to the ears when it entered Duan Lingtian's ears. When the young woman spoke, her eyes that were looking at Duan Lingtian seemed to have turned into 2 demonic moons that shone with an evil light. When Duan Lingtian saw the young woman driving the carriage and almost hitting some passers-by, he was certain of his suspicions. As expected, this young woman was an arrogant young lady from a wealthy family. Moreover, she treated human lives like grass. Duan Lingtian merely glanced at the young woman indifferently. Then, he held Huaner's hand and prepared to pull her around the 9-headed celestial beasts that were blocking their way to find an inn. However, just as he was about to take a detour, crack. Along with a crisp and ear-piercing sound, a red long whip appeared in the hand of the arrogant woman in the front seat. With a swing of her hand, she threw the long whip at the void where Duan Lingtian was about to pass through. Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically, and he stopped in his tracks. A layer of frost appeared on Huaner's face under the veil, and she emitted a chilling aura. "What are you doing?" Duan Lingtian asked angrily as he glared at the young woman. "What am I doing?" The young woman looked at Duan Lingtian indifferently and said, "Didn't you hear me? I'm asking for your name." "Do I know you?" Duan Lingtian asked with a frown on his face. "From this moment on you'll know me. I'm called Zhou Shudong. From today onwards, you will be this young lady's boy toy. It's your fortune that I've taken a liking to you." The young woman raised her head arrogantly. "Boy toy?" Duan Lingtian was dumbstruck when he heard the arrogant woman, and he was unable to react for a long time. Duan Lingtian's eyes, naturally, he knew what a boy toy was. However, generally speaking, wasn't it only those older women who had the hobby of looking for male toys for them to play with? How could this arrogant girl who looked so young have such a fetish? That's right. Even people from the mundane realms can stay young forever, let alone people from the Devata realms. This Zhou Shudong looks young. She might be an old woman who has lived for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. She just looks young. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Boy toy. Upon hearing the young woman's words, Huaner, who was standing next to Duan Lingtian, could not help but ask, "Brother Lingtian, what's a boy toy?" Duan Lingtian was rendered speechless by Huaner's question. He did not know how to explain it. "I was wondering why the 4th miss of the Zhou clan would block this young man's path. As it turns out, she's taken a liking to this young man and wants to bring him back to the Zhou clan to be her boy toy." At this moment, Duan Lingtian heard a passerby whispering to Duan Lingtian. Through this, Duan Lingtian learned that the arrogant young woman, Zhou Shudong, was from the Zhou clan. Although the 4th miss of the Zhou clan is open-minded and likes to have boy toys, I have to say she has high standards. It's difficult for ordinary men to become her boy toy. This purple-clad young man's appearance and temperament are top-notch. It's not surprising that she's taken a liking to him. This young man has an extraordinary temperament. It's obvious he's not from an ordinary family. Isn't the 4th miss of the Zhou clan afraid of offending someone with a powerful background? You're overthinking it. Not only is the Zhou clan one of the top clans in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, but they're also related to the Imperial family. In the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, The only young men the fourth miss of the Zhou clan can't afford to offend are her cousins in the imperial family. What if this young man is an outsider? Then he can only blame himself for being unlucky. Haven't you heard of the saying, a strong dragon can't suppress a snake in its old haunts? The whispers of the group of passers-by entered Duanling Tian's ears in a timely manner. It also allowed Duanling Tian to have a certain understanding of the arrogant woman's background. The fourth miss of the Zhou clan. The Zhou clan was one of the top clans in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, they were related to the imperial family. The fourth miss of the Zhou clan would address the princes of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's imperial family as her cousin brother or cousin brother. No wonder she's so arrogant. As it turns out, her background is not simple. Duanling Tian thought to himself. Based on the words of the passers-by, the fourth miss of the Zhou clan could be considered as one of the top clans in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Naturally, it's my good fortune to be chosen by Miss Zhou. Duanling Tian looked at Zhou Shudong and said indifferently, however, I'm a person who doesn't have much luck, so I'd like to thank you for your kindness. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. After saying that, Duanling Tian held Huaner's hand and prepared to leave. Since he knew Zhou Shudong's background was not simple, Duanling Tian did not want to get into a conflict with her unless it was absolutely necessary. Naturally, if necessary, he would have no choice but to fall out with her. After all, Duanling Tian, was an unyielding man. He was not a pushover. Stop. Just as Duanling Tian was about to leave with Huaner, Zhou Shudong leaped out of her carriage and appeared in front of him, blocking his path. Her gaze was cold when she looked at Duanling Tian and Huaner's hands. If her gaze could be turned into a blade, she would have cut off Huaner's hand. Miss Zhou, a forced melon won't be sweet. Duanling Tian's gaze turned cold when he was stopped by Zhou Shudong again. There's nothing I can't get if I want it. Today you'll either die with this woman or kill her with your own hands. Then follow me back to the Zhou clan and become my boy toy, Zhou Shudong said coldly. Zhou Shudong's tone turned cold as well. With just a few words, she had already decided Huaner's fate. When she saw the man she liked holding another woman's hand, she treated that woman as a dead person. She had always treated that woman this way and expressed her displeasure. You want to kill me? Her voice was frosty and cold. Huaner. Duanling Tian could feel the coldness from Huaner's hand. He quickly squeezed her hand and said in a low voice, leave this to me. If I can't handle it, you can make a move. Miss Zhou, please be polite to my sister. Duanling Tian said in a deep voice after letting go of Huaner's hand. He could see it as well. This Zhou Shudong was extremely jealous. She's your sister? As expected, Zhou Shudong was stunned when she heard Duanling Tian's words. Her cold expression softened a little as she said, since she's your sister, I won't kill her. However, you'll have to follow me back to the Zhou clan and become my boy toy. Otherwise, I'll repeat what I said earlier. Both you and your sister will die. Zhou Shudong's eyes gleamed coldly when she finished speaking. Now make your choice. Do you want your sister to die with you, or do you want to follow me back to the Zhou clan and become my boy toy? Zhou Shudong gave Duanling Tian an ultimatum, forcing him to make a choice. Miss Zhou, there are many men in this world. Why must you target me? Duanling Tian would have lost his patience if this was any other time. However, now that he had finally arrived at the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, he did not want to offend Zhou Shudong and be forced to move to another place. I'll give you 10 breaths to think about it. If you still haven't made a choice after 10 breaths, I'll take it as you've rejected my offer. Zhou Shudong said coldly. Huaner, let's go. Upon hearing Zhou Shudong's words, Duanling Tian knew there was no turning back. His expression turned cold immediately. Even his voice was filled with coldness. He held Huaner's hand and walked to Zhou Shudong's side. Zhou Shudong's expression turned cold when she saw this. She raised her hand, and the fiery red whip in her hand transformed into a fiery red python that shot toward Duanling Tian. When Zhou Shudong made her move earlier, Duanling Tian was certain she was a blue sun golden celestial like him. Ridiculous. Duanling Tian had lost his patience. His eyes turned even colder when he saw Zhou Shudong's whip flying toward him. His right hand shot out at lightning speed as his celestial origin energy surged out and caught Zhou Shudong's whip. Scram. In the next moment, Duanling Tian cried out angrily and threw Zhou Shudong to the side again. His vast celestial origin energy surged out and injured Zhou Shudong. Fourth miss. The old woman's expression changed drastically when she saw Duanling Tian's celestial origin energy surging out of his body and grabbing Zhou Shudong's whip. She knew her young miss was no match for the purple-clad young man. Brat, you're seeking death. When Duanling Tian threw Zhou Shudong to the side, the old woman's expression was ferocious. Her eyes were filled with killing intent as she charged toward Duanling Tian like an eagle. Huan kill her. Chapter 27-21. Yes, brother Ling Tian, Huan replied without hesitation. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Huan who had been feeling impatient for a long time looked at the old woman who was charging toward Duanling Tian with a cold gaze. The old woman's cultivation base was extraordinary. Based on her speed, she was at least an Earth-rank Great Overarching Golden Celestial. However, an Earth-rank Great Overarching Golden Celestial was nothing compared to Huan. Huan raised her hand, and a gust of cold wind appeared out of thin air. It seemed as though the wind was about to freeze the air. Huan waved her hand again. The gust of cold wind swept toward the old woman who was charging at Duanling Tian. Before she could get close to Duanling Tian, the gust of cold wind shrouded her. Furthermore, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the old woman was instantly frozen into an ice sculpture. Through the ice sculpture, one could vaguely see the old woman's malevolent expression. Whoosh! The ice sculpture flew toward Duanling Tian due to inertia. However, its speed was much slower than the old woman's speed. Brother Ling Tian, Huan called out softly. In just a blink of an eye, she appeared next to Duanling Tian. She held Duanling Tian's hand and helped Duanling Tian avoid the old woman who had turned into an ice sculpture. Bang! The ice sculpture fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. The old woman was dead. In truth, the old woman was already dead the moment she was frozen into an ice sculpture. Now that the ice sculpture had shattered, her body was no longer whole. Brr, brr. The commotion alerted the 9 celestial beasts that were pulling the roofless chariot. The 9 celestial beasts grew restless as they glared at Huan and Duanling Tian with bloodshot eyes. In just a blink of an eye, they charged toward Huan and Duanling Tian as though they were going to ram them to death. Whoosh! Just as Duanling Tian was about to kill the 9 celestial beasts, Huan made her move first. Another gust of cold wind swept out and froze the 9 celestial beasts in place. Not only had she frozen the 9 celestial beasts into ice sculptures, but she had also frozen the ground beneath the celestial beasts' feet, freezing them to the ground. The 9 celestial beasts looked like lifelike ice sculptures. Miss Zhou? I'll spare your life for the sake of the Zhou clan. I hope you know what's good for you. Duanling Tian said indifferently as he glanced at Zhou Shudong, the 4th miss of the Zhou clan, who was slumped on the ground. She was completely dumbstruck at this moment. After he finished speaking, he turned to look at Huan and smiled. Huan let's go. Okay. However, before she left, she could not help but ask through voice transmission. Brother Ling Tian, why didn't you kill her as well? She tried to kill me earlier. Huan, I didn't kill her because I don't want to leave the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom so soon. You don't want to travel all the time, right? I plan to stay in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom for a while before I make my next move. Duanling Tian said, moreover, the 4th miss of the Zhou clan has an extraordinary background. If we kill her, we'll definitely anger the Zhou clan and the imperial family. It's easy to kill her. However, for now it's not worth it. Duanling Tian said. If Duanling Tian really wanted to kill Zhou Shudong, he would not have held back earlier. Although Zhou Shudong's cultivation base was similar to his, she was also a Blue Sun Golden Celestial. However, his strength was not on par with his cultivation base. Even without the 7 Orifices exquisite sword, he could easily kill an ordinary Great Overarching Golden Celestial, let alone a mere Blue Sun Golden Celestial. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Huan nodded even though she did not fully understand. The spacious street was deathly silent. Many people watched as Duanling Tian and Huan left. They only regained their senses after the duo had disappeared at the end of the street. When they regained their senses, they could not help but gasp as their eyes widened in shock. It was as though they had seen a ghost. How powerful! How terrifying! The strength of that white-clothed woman wearing a veil and a hat is too terrifying. She's at least an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Only an overarching heavenly supreme celestial would have such strength. After all, the old woman she killed was an elder of the Zhou clan who usually followed the 4th miss of the Zhou clan. She was an Earth-rank Great Overarching Golden Celestial. Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials. It seems like they have an extraordinary background as well. How can they be simple? Didn't you see how they continued to walk into the capital after killing the Zhou clan's people? It's obvious they're not afraid of the Zhou clan. However, they're already giving the Zhou clan face by not killing the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. The passers-by stole a glance at Zhou Shudong, the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. When they saw Zhou Shudong was still in a daze, they relaxed and began to whisper among themselves. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian and Huan Er walked around the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom before they found a suitable inn to stay in. The reason why Duan Lingtian said that he had specifically chosen an inn was because the inn that Duan Lingtian chose belonged to the Nian clan, the Zhou clan's sworn enemy. It was one of the properties of the Nian clan. The Nian clan was one of the top clans in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Their strength was on par with the Zhou clan. Similar to the Zhou clan, the Nian clan was also a relative of the imperial family. They had close ties with the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The Fleeting Time Inn. The inn owned by the Nian clan was called the Fleeting Time Inn. It occupied a vast area, and there were a total of 999 guest rooms in it. Each of the guest rooms had their own independent courtyards, and each of the courtyards was equipped with some soundproofing and spirit-gathering formations. There were 999 guest rooms, and each guest room cost 10 supreme-grade celestial stones a day. Ordinary people could not afford to stay in such a place. 999 guest rooms? And it looks like the occupancy rate is quite high. Even if only half of the rooms are occupied, the Fleeting Time Inn still earns 5,000 supreme celestial stones a day. 5,000 a day, 50,000 a day, 150,000 a month, 1,800,000 a year. Under the guidance of the Fleeting Time Inn's manservant, Duan Lingtian observed his surroundings and was shocked by the Fleeting Time Inn's speed of earning money. Brother, this is my first time staying in the Fleeting Time Inn. Can you tell me more about the inn? After Duan Lingtian withdrew his sweeping gaze, he said to the attendant that led the way. Of course, the attendant replied respectfully. Then he continued to say, Sir, although the cost of staying in the Fleeting Time Inn is high, it's definitely worth it. Not only is the inn the best cultivation environment in the capital, but you won't be disturbed due to the presence of many overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan. Unless you've offended the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom or a powerhouse from a high-rank celestial kingdom, you'll be safe as long as you stay in the Fleeting Time Inn, Duan Lingtian continued to say. Unless you've offended the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom or a powerhouse from a high-rank celestial kingdom, you'll be safe as long as you stay here. This is the main reason why the inn is so expensive. Staying in the Fleeting Time Inn is like having a life-saving talisman. The servant paused for a moment upon saying this. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he heard the attendant's words. He had chosen the Fleeting Time Inn because the Nian clan and the Zhou clan did not get along well. He did not think the Zhou clan would be allowed to do as they pleased in the Nian clan's territory. He did not expect the Fleeting Time Inn would be able to protect its guests. So, even if I have offended the Zhou clan, I'll still be safe here? Duan Lingtian asked. The Zhou clan? The attendant was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's question. Then he said, Of course. Putting aside the fact that the Zhou clan and the Nian clan are at odds with each other, the Nian clan won't allow them to do as they please in the Fleeting Time Inn. We're not afraid of any forces that are on par with the Zhou clan. Sir, 80% of the guests who stay in the Fleeting Time Inn do so to avoid their enemies. You don't have to worry about your safety, the attendant said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Duan Lingtian nodded. Of course. The rooms of our Fleeting Time Tavern are not only safe, but they also have soundproof formations and spirit-gathering formations set up around the rooms. Duan Lingtian did not pay much attention to the attendant's words. Cultivation environment? With the divine crystal, Duan Lingtian would have the best cultivation environment even if he was in the middle of nowhere. For this reason he chose to stay in the Fleeting Time Inn for his own safety. It's no wonder I sensed dozens of people staring at the entrance of the inn. It seems like those people have enemies in the inn, and they're waiting for their enemies to use up all their supreme-grade celestial stones before they leave the inn. Realization dawned on Duan Lingtian when he recalled the dozens of people he saw outside the Fleeting Time Inn. How should I address you? Duan Lingtian asked with a smile on his face as he handed a supreme-grade celestial stone to the attendant at the entrance of his room. Thank you, sir. The attendant's eyes lit up when he saw the supreme celestial stone. He quickly took the supreme celestial stone and thanked Duan Lingtian. You can call me Little Six. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded before he continued to say, Little Six, I'll have to trouble you with a lot of errands in the future. Let's keep in touch. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. After a guest checks in, if you have any errands to run, just hang this red cloth strip at the door. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.